Minute ago. This meeting is now called to order. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cons,
Here.
Mrs. Shandy,
Here.
Mr. Wilburn,
Here.
Mrs. Yanez,
Here.
Mr. Salt.
Here. This evening, we have a lot of students, and we decided beforehand to see if any of the students would like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, we got a couple. Great. I will bring the mic up, and you guys can all get in a group, and we will say it together. Sound good?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great job. All right, tonight we have Academy Endeavor Elementary School and School in the Woods here for our board spotlight. If you all could stay after you are done, we'd love to shake hands with the students and the teachers of both schools, and we've got a little prize for you. So we're incentivizing you to stick around for a minute. With that, Academy Endeavor is first. Mr. Wilburn.
Thank you, Mr. Salt. Academy Endeavor. Academy Endeavor has one of the smallest neighborhood footprints in the district. As it initially began as an Edison school, it continues to have one of the smallest neighborhood student populations, with only 21% of students coming from within its boundaries. Out of 331 students, 264 and their families chose to call Academy Endeavor their home school. Please welcome Principal Sheila Hanson.
Hi, thank you. I'm Sheila Hanson. I'm the principal at Academy Endeavor. I have Carrie Mitchell here. She's my assistant principal. Tonight we have some of our amazing students who have been practicing they play the ukulele. So K5, Miss Doyle, this is her second year as our music teacher. And last year, 1 year in, she was like, I want to bring ukulele to the school. It's different. It's not something we do everywhere. Our amazing PTA helped fund ukuleles, so she has enough that they can all play during a class. So they're going to be performing a little bit. And then this year she started a strings club for 3rd through 5th grade students. So a variety of stringed instruments where they're learning a little bit more before school to play. I will let her get her students ready. And do you want to introduce the kids? So this is the wonderful Miss Doyle. And then we have Clara, who is a 3rd grader. We have Paya in 4th grade, Charlotte, 4th grade, Maverick, 4th grade, Ariana, 4th grade, Miles, Zainab, Emily, and Amelia. So she chose a combo of kids, some that are in strings and some that are in ukuleles. So some of them will jump in for both and some will just be playing for part of it. and play.
The strings on my fiddle, but something got stuck right in the middle. It's my bow, wouldn't you know? It got stuck way down below, but when I set it free, I'll play the open string blues.
A 1, 2, ready, go.
And it sounds fine. I play the open string that's on the space and the line. There's G, D, A, and B, U, C. On the cello and viola, there's a way low C. No matter what the size, I'll play the open string blues.
Oh, okay, great. Twinkle, twinkle, please. This is our last one. You might know it. Okay, remember, we are using A and B, okay? Go. Leave it on the ground side. Okay, hold on. All right. 1, 2, ready, go. Thank you guys. You did awesome. So this group meets once a week at 7 a.m. for an hour before school. They started just in the fall, many of them their first experience with stringed instruments. So it's a big commitment for them and their parents, and it's a lot of fun to see them trying new instruments. And Miss Doyle is just as fantastic and animated in every single one of her classrooms as you got to see tonight. So we feel very lucky to have her. And I know our kids do as well. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And then, like I said, the kids will stick around after we do School in the Woods. We'll do quick handshakes, couple pictures, prizes, and move on. Next is School in the Woods, which is celebrating their 25th anniversary this year. The school has been making the pine needle baskets that they are going to share every year. The pine needle baskets are part of a larger Native American unit where students learn about the different tribes that lived in Colorado. During this unit, they also incorporate our reading standards by learning about Native American folk tales. Please welcome School in the Woods Administrator, Mr. Patrick Perry.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so this tradition has been going on for 25 years, and so there's some naturalists here who are from years before. Daisy here, Dakota, Skylar, if you guys will hold up your pine needle baskets from years before. So they've got their pine needle baskets, hold them up. And then our current naturalists, we've got Lucas, Asher, Breck, Anna, and Summer. If you guys will hold up your pine needle baskets right there. So this unit takes about a week and a half as they make their pine needle baskets and are listening to some stories. So I'm going to let Miss Johnson talk a little bit more about that. And we have pine needle baskets started for the board members, and we're going to ask that our naturalists help you guys out. And they've got a couple tips and tricks to start off with. So Lucas, you want to start? What's the first thing?
Always feed the gauge.
So there will be a metal gauge and you'll want to always feed it with some pine needles, okay?
Don't let the gauge fall off. It's kind of stressful. If it does fall off, don't worry. Pull it tight. On the first layer, go through the hole 2 times.
So you'll stitch it twice for both of those. Awesome, you guys. And if you'll come up with me, we'll start getting some pine needle baskets out to them.
Okay, so this is a really joyous time at School in the Woods. Imagine being out in the ponderosa pine trees with the snow falling down, and you get a sense of what the indigenous youths experienced when they were in the Black Forest working on their pine needle baskets. It is traditional that this is the storytelling time of the year. And so the students are exposed to a lot of different coyote tales, mostly, coyote being the trickster of a lot of Ute and Navajo tales. And then we have the kids start their baskets and they're listening to these stories, and then it allows us to look at that standard of comparative text. And we talk about how are our characters the same? How is the theme the same? Are there plot events that happen? And then we also expand it to other stories that students know of, folk tales, parables, fables, and they listen to those stories and they make connections about stories that they have already read on their own or at school. Then they also get the chance to select their own coyote story to tell. And we analyze that text for plot structure, characters, we compare characters, we look at theme, comparing theme. And all the time, the students are also working on orally preparing a presentation of their stories. And this is what I really love because it's all acting. And so we talk about how pacing and volume and hand gestures add to the magic of the storytelling. And the students get to present their stories. And of course, we have a wonderful heritage with the Stansfield family. Carol Stansfield was one of the original founders of School in the Woods of 1999, taught there for many years before she retired. Her husband is a professional Chautauquan, and he performed around the community. John Muir was his personal Chautauquan that he enjoyed telling that story about. But then the kids learn how to tell stories from him, a professional storyteller, on how to tell that story and how to present a story. Of course, we also have our beloved John Worth coming back to our school. John also was a founder of School in the Woods in 1999. He just retired last year. And he comes back and he shares a lot of his stories and his storytelling techniques with the students too. So it's a beautiful tradition that's rooted in that Ute culture that we celebrate and learn about at School in the Woods. And then we take it to the modern level of modern storytelling that we have, as well as modern characters. So it's a great time.
We've got a couple here that we'll just walk around with. Some of these have won awards with the Academy School District. So when we've entered it into some different art competitions. So That's one from a few years ago. Yeah, with a lid. Just like that, so.
I don't know if these guys get cracks in their fingers. Hold their skin.
Yeah, yeah. Or like my fingernails turn black from all the.
Okay, like you would go
Yeah,
through
yeah.
this,
Yeah.
this one.
I live in Woodman Valley.
Layer of.
Quite a bit. Pine straw, so I
So
should be out there feeling the survive.
The Native American
Yeah.
tribes.
We actually have to find
That you
the right
learned
trees
about?
with the longest pine needles, you know?
I've got some pine needles.
So I'm just,
Too.
I know, that's probably the one I picked up too.
I need.
I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, and so we had a lot of different, we had like the Tohono. And,
So like you stop eating McGage
Navajo.
and it's just full.
Yeah.
You just feel like.
yeah, and you stop making your basket. You just pull it in, and you're good.
And that's it.
And these are yours, so if you're a stitcher, you want to take a little bit.
I'm sort of, what kind of, this almost feels like.
Yeah.
It's called sinew. The Native Americans use the actual tendons. So this is just wax with wax string, basically.
Cause I've done that one twice.
Exactly. You gotta keep playing as tight as possible. Small inside.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think we're good. So, awesome.
Put on these recorded Native American stories.
Awesome.
Live describe.
I guess, yeah.
Are you guys
Do
thinking?
you guys want any pine needles to go? We've got.
My parents live right by you.
I know.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Awesome, naturalists. We'll have you guys come and have a seat again, and thank you for showing the board members, and we'll come and have a seat. All right. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
The one without a needle? Thank you guys. And those pine needle baskets, hope you guys can get to finish them. Some naturalist, Dakota, I was talking to, keeps some jewelry in hers. Naturalists before, they keep their Alexa in their basket. So yeah, a little modern and old fashioned. And I don't know who.
So we need to get the table moved out and then we'll do Academy Endeavor. You guys are waiting so patiently. So we'll bring you guys up first. We'll shake your hands and then take a quick picture. Shake your hand.
I got it. I got it. I'll think we'll put
One who ran right after the guy next to the table. Now, you guys come up here and we can do this over.
I know it blended.
Sorry, you blended right in with all the other.
It's my height.
There we go. Real big setback. Okay. On three, say Bart. 1, 2, 3. Get the best smiles.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
We're doing some room movement, bringing in some people who are waiting outside now that the spotlight students have cleared out. So we'll get going here in another 30 seconds or so. All right. Ms. Mattson Bonet, are there any updates to the agenda?
There were updates to the agenda and the board was notified of these.
Thank you. Members of the board, are there any items you wish to move from the consent agenda? Are there any discussion items to be added to the agenda this evening? May we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cons,
Aye.
Mrs. Shandy,
Aye.
Mr. Wilburn,
Aye.
Mrs. Yanez,
Aye.
Mr. Salt.
Aye. Tonight's board quote is from Mrs. Yanez.
So I went to Mr. Rogers, of course, because in life, it's a great person to go to. A love of learning has a lot to do with learning that we are loved.
Thank you. Do any board members have any comments to make this evening? Ms. Cons?
Very briefly, I just wanted to give a big shout out and congratulations to our Bridges graduates that we honored a few days ago, to Pioneer Elementary School, which you've probably been seeing in the news. Besides winning that prestigious award, I believe only one of two schools in the state, they also were surprised with $10,000 award from CDE. So very excited for them and great job to all the staff and students. I enjoyed getting to learn about best practices and meeting more staff, going to a couple school visits with Superintendent Haber. So she goes on 90-minute school visits to every school every semester. So it was insightful to actually get to be with her instead of on my own and hear so much more at Ranch Creek Elementary School in the Village. And then lastly, the main reason that I'm just giving comments tonight is I want to highlight Emily Huxtable, who's a senior at Rampart High School, and she's number 30. And she was the first female basketball player at Rampart in almost 30 years that scored over 1,000 points in her high school season. So shout out to her. I've known her since she was 4 years old. So I was super excited to be at that game. And she's an all-star. She has already gotten full scholarship offers for 3 different colleges. So excited to see her go places. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right. Next, we have Mr. Cameron Smart with some new administrator introductions. My comments are Mr. Smart.
Hello. There we go. All right. So for tonight, we're going to introduce. So the first one I am pleased to introduce is Laura Paris. She's right here. She is being recommended as the principal for Legacy Peak Elementary School. And Laura is joined this evening by her husband, Jeremiah. And Laura holds a Bachelor's of Arts in Child and Adolescent Development from California State University, Northridge, California, and a Master's of Arts in Elementary Education from the University of Phoenix. She began her educational career in Reseda, California as a middle school math and science teacher, and then moved to Leadville, Colorado, where she was a 3rd grade teacher, and then Edwards, Colorado as a 5th grade English teacher, and then to District 38 at Palmer Lake Elementary as a 6th grade English teacher and social studies teacher, and then a 4th grade teacher. She did quite a lot before she even came to D20. And then she came to D20 and she was a TOSA for curriculum and instruction and a TOSA for literacy. She's just trying to make sure she's covering all her bases. And then she became the assistant principal at Academy International Elementary School, and she currently serves as the interim principal there. And we are pleased to recommend her for the position of principal at Legacy Peak Elementary School. You like to say anything tonight? Oh, sure. Okay.
Sounds like I've done so. I've been in education since I was about 18 years old, so always in education. I'm so happy to be here tonight. I'm so thrilled to be able to have the honor to represent Legacy Peak Elementary. I'm excited to join the staff and the community. Thank you to the board for your time and thoughtfulness. It was very lovely getting to know all of you. Thank you to Ginger for her time and energy that she put into this process, and the interview board that was very thoughtful and intentional in their process as well. And thank you to my husband and my support team at home. I can't do it without them. And all of the wonderful people that came here tonight. I'm beyond grateful and humbled that you are here to support me and also just this next journey. Yeah, thank you to everyone that's in the district that has been on my journey so far. I wouldn't be here without all of you, and I lean on them all the time. So thank you so much.
Okay, next I would like to introduce Tony DeMott, who is being recommended as the Director for Budget and Finance. And she is joined by her family online. So hello, everybody online. So Tony holds a Bachelor's of Science in Accounting from Regis University, a Master's in Business Administration in Accounting from Louisiana State University. And she began her career at Colorado Springs World Arena, and then at Erickson, Brown, and Kloster, right? Kloster as an accountant. And then she began her educational career at the Classical Academy as a controller. And she currently serves as an accounting and budget analyst with the district. And so we are excited to recommend her tonight for this position of Director for Budget and Finance. Anything you'd like to say? I heard you wrote a speech. Is that correct? Oh, that was kind of.
I just wanted to extend a heartfelt thanks to the superintendent and the Board of Education for the opportunity. I'm honored to accept the position of Director of Budget and Finance. I'd also like to extend my gratitude to my family watching online for their unwavering support for many, many years. Many years of being dragged after school back to an office to hang out while mom finished her work. So much love to my family. I'd also lastly like to thank Becky Allen and Kathy Watts for their guidance and leadership. And I look forward to the exciting opportunity that lies ahead. And I'm committed to fostering fiscal responsibility and excellence for the district. So thank you again for the wonderful opportunity.
Okay, next, I want to introduce Jaleesa Stewart, who is being recommended as the Director for Special Education Compliance. And she's with her husband, Devontae, here tonight. She holds a Bachelor's of Science in Human Development and Psychoeducational Studies with a minor in Early Childhood Education from Howard University. I think she just tried to take it easy when she got her bachelor's, said, yeah, I'm doing a couple little things. And she has a Master's in Educational Leadership and Educational Administration from, is it Argosy? There you go, University. And then she's pursuing her PhD in Early Childhood Education. She began her educational career in Prince William County in Virginia as a special education teacher, preschool teacher, and then moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, where she was a special education compliance facilitator, and then worked in District 8 at Jordal Elementary School as a special education teacher, and she currently serves as a special education administrator with District 20. We're pleased to recommend Jaleesa tonight for the position of Director for Special Education Compliance. Anything you'd like to say? All right. She actually has a speech.
Thank you to the Board of Education, Superintendent Haber, Dr. Field, and Dr. Lujan Lindsay for this incredible opportunity to step into the role as Director of Special Education for Compliance. It is truly an honor, and I want to express my heartfelt thank you and appreciation for the trust you've placed in me. This journey is not just a professional milestone for me, but it is a personal calling. As special education, I'm very passionate about. A special thank you goes to my husband, who has been my biggest cheerleader throughout this process. And additionally, I want to thank my team for their support as well. I look forward to contributing and to serve the students in special education. Thank you.
Okay, I'm down to my last one. I'm just going to give you a few hints about this person, see if you can figure out who it is. This person comes from New Jersey, and one of her favorite places to eat is Palermo's Pizza, where she gets a tomato pie. And she talks often about buckets and colored sand and, you know, stuff like that. So you may know who this is. I'd like to introduce Becky Allen tonight as she's being recommended. You can go ahead and clap. Go ahead. Give it a whirl. She's being recommended as the Deputy Superintendent, Chief Financial Officer, and she's joined by her mom, Barbara, and her son, Holden. She holds a Bachelor's of Science in Education with a major in mathematics from Northern Arizona University. Go Lumberjacks. I also got a degree from there. Okay. Master's in Education and Educational Leadership with an emphasis in Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment from Regis University. She began her career in New Jersey as a high school math teacher, and then worked at the Air Force Academy as a budget analyst, and then in D38 as a high school math teacher again. And then in D20, she was a Dean of Students at Pine Creek High School, an assistant principal and principal at Discovery Canyon Campus Middle School, and a director for learning services for assessment, and an executive director for learning services before moving into her current role as chief financial officer. It's my pleasure to recommend Becky tonight for the position of deputy superintendent, chief financial officer. Anything you'd like to say?
Mr. Salt, Board of Education, Superintendent Haber, to say that I'm honored and humbled by this is an understatement. These are the best students, staff, and families, I would say, in the state of Colorado, but I'm going to go bigger. The nation. They're just wonderful people. And to be able to now serve everyone in this new role, I'm so grateful. I'm here for 3 reasons. Number 1, District 20 has treated me like gold from the first day I got here in 2006 as the Dean of Students. This district has taken chances on me over and over again. They've taught me and grown me and helped me lead and helped me be better. And it's a wonderful place for staff. And so that's the first reason I'm here, because of the district. The second reason, back in New Jersey, I played a lot of tennis. And my favorite matches were the ones where I was against someone who was far more talented than me, because it pushed me, it stretched me. I played better than I ever thought. I walked off the court better than when I walked on. That's what's happened in District 20. Every day I work with people, with kids, with families, with staff who are far more talented than I could ever be. And when you work with people like that and you collaborate with people like that, your game steps up. And if not for many of these people sitting in this room, they are the ones who have taught me and made me better. Finally, number 3, my support system. I'm so lucky. I have a wonderful family and wonderful friends, some of which are sitting in here and who are my biggest advocates. My mom, Barbara, is here. She was a social worker in New Jersey, in Trenton, New Jersey, for 25 years. She showed me what it means to work hard, have integrity even when things are hard, and how you give of yourself to serve for others. What a role model for me. And my son Holden, he's the greatest gift that I will ever receive in my life. He is my why in all I do, the most precious part of me, and again, why I do what I do every day. Thank you so much for this honor. I cannot wait to hit the ground running tomorrow for the best students, the best staff, the best families, the best board, the best superintendent in the state, in the nation. Thank you from my heart. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So first, I just want to say congratulations. Second, I want to say if you can wait, once we get through the consent agenda, we're going to take a brief recess. We can congratulate all of you directly. So sit tight for a few minutes. With that, Superintendent Haber, any updates?
Yes, good evening. It's so great. I just really want to say thank you for allowing me to join virtually. I am truly enjoying this opportunity and appreciate this opportunity here in Denver at the Colorado Education Institute forum that they are having today and tomorrow, and Dr. Field is with me as well. They have gathered some very innovative superintendents across the state together, and we just had a great discussion today around, what are the strengths that we see in our individual districts and what are some of our challenges. And of course, we all superintendents districts face some of the same challenges. So the brainstorming we've done has just been amazing, and I can't wait to come back and share with you what Susan and I are learning here. So thank you again for allowing me to join virtually. So I will go ahead and get started if you want to go to the next slide. So as Director Kahns mentioned, it was such a wonderful time at Pioneer Elementary. Last week, we celebrated them getting the ESEA award with Colorado Department of Education Commissioner Susana Cordova. And this award, there were 2 Title I schools in the entire state that were chosen for this award, and Pioneer was one of them. So following what Becky Allen had to say, certainly we are one of the very best in the nation, and we have schools that continue to win awards to help demonstrate that reality of D20. And what was really fun is that I don't think that Principal Hayspear or the students, nobody really knew they were going to get a $10,000 check. And that was a really fun surprise. You can see them there on the bottom, really celebrating with the big check that came across, and they let the students share that. Next slide. And there's just thank you to our Board of Education for being there just to support those efforts. And again, a huge congratulations to Pioneer Elementary and the whole staff and the students. They really are a very remarkable school. Next slide. So board, I just want to thank you so much. Those of you that have been able to go with me on the 90-minute visits to schools. It's been so great to have you just experience the excellence that's here in D20, as well as what some of our challenges are. So we had a chance, as Director Kahns mentioned, to go to Ranch Creek Elementary, and their Principal Evans was sharing with us they're really good at really demonstrating on the walls what the academic focus is for the students, as well as we just saw some excellent reading instruction and at all schools. As a pattern, I am definitely seeing evidence of principals and teachers using data to help them make decisions on how to best meet the needs of students. I see teachers that are passionate about what they do. And students are just the level of engagement has been so high. So just appreciate being able to walk alongside our board members during these visits. Next slide. So some of the other schools, we were just at Da Vinci Academy Elementary, and it was really fun. The theme for grade level was shadows. And so as the art schools, they had a bunch of shadow boxes up, and kids were making shadows and, you know, using play with their puppets. And based on some of the images that they did in the shadows and what they were doing with the puppets, their next step was to go back and write a story about their character, about their puppet or some of the shadows that they made. So I just love the way they were just being so creative with the shadow boxes, and then also integrating writing with that. And they do have a brand new mascot. It's there you see Director Shandy and Shandy and I there. It's a bearded dragon. He's only 7 months old. I guess he gets like 3 feet. So I couldn't help but hold him because as a former science teacher. So that was super fun, and we enjoyed being introduced to him. Next slide. We also went to Discovery Canyon Middle School. Oops, next slide, there we go. And they're just doing a great job. Again, we were learning more about IB and the middle years program and how they're using that to support that character education with all of their students. Next slide. Mount Ridge Middle School. Director Wilburn and I were there as well, and we saw some great math instruction and had a chance to interact with students, which was always a treat during these visits. Next slide. And Director Kahns and I also had a chance to go to Village High School, and this is kind of like their area downstairs where students can just kind of come together and study. And last time I was there, I saw a ukulele lesson, and they play piano down there. It's really a great exploratory space. And I just appreciate the way Village High School tries to really personalize the learning for their students. Next slide. And then when we were, and really, I also want to stop and say, again, it was just such a privilege to be able to host the retirement party for Brett Smith. And during his party, Karina principal came to us from Timberview and just shared this wonderful story. And I said, well, send us a slide because we want to celebrate it. So we'd like to highlight Timberview Middle School special education teacher, Danica Paris. This year, Timberview and Mrs. Paris created a class for students who were significantly below grade level in math in hopes to get them caught up. Since the beginning of the year, 8th grade students in her class have grown from a 3.2 grade level in math proficiency to a 5.9 grade level. That is a huge amount of growth in such a short amount of time in proficiency. And so really congratulations to Danica. And really to Timberview for trying on this new curriculum and really seeing some amazing results from that. Next slide. And congratulations to the Pine Creek High School Unified Bowling Team. They have completed their season and they earned their school letter. So congratulations to them. They look pretty excited there. Next slide. And if you read in the Gazette recently, one of our athletes was recognized. Congratulations to Isabella Burton, who was named a peak performer by the Gazette after completing the swim session. She was recognized for outstanding performance throughout high school. This year, she's been ranked in the top 20 swimmers in the nation through several different clubs. And we're really wishing her the very best as she moves on to swim Division I athlete in Denver next year. Another wonderful example of D20 excellence. Next slide. This is a huge success and a huge shout out to Dr. Pariseau, our Director of Career Technical Education. He hosted for a Parent Academy a career and college and career night. We had over 600 participants show up. Like he said, it was like standing room only for many of those sessions. And so with 2024, 2025 high school course registration around the corner, school choice window open, the D20 College and Career Services hosted their annual student and parent information night at Chinook Trail Middle School, which was last Thursday. Oh, actually, it was more than 700 parents and students attended the event to learn more about D20's career and technical education and career academies, work-based learning, and college credit program options. And after a short presentation, parents and students were led into the gym where over 40 tables were set up with teacher leading presentations around CTE programming and college concurrent and dual enrollment options. And a thank you to Allison Cortez and her team as well. One thing that we heard loud and clear from the stakeholder groups that I host every month is we really need to get that information out and start at middle school so that parents can make some great choices, know about all of their options for college and career opportunities here in D20. So with over 700 participants, I think we're well on our way to getting that information out. And thank you to all of those folks who are involved in hosting this wonderful event. Next slide. And also just recently, there was a school choice event, and I believe it was hosted by a group called Parent Challenge. And we just want to do a shout out again to Dr. Pariseau. We got there like right at 9 o'clock, got everything set up, and we had various other D20 personnel go through and also support them with that. They estimated that we had about potentially up to about 60 different parents come to the table during that time period. Most of them were asking questions about kindergarten and preschool, but we're glad that we had a table there and plan on doing that more in the future as well. And then I'll just end up, we did have some questions that came in around the library committee. As you know, board, we brought that as a discussion item last time at our last board meeting. It was a draft, and we are in the process right now of gathering more feedback. The original process did involve our head district level librarian, as well as some other folks from Learning Services. And now we're really just vetting that process with other stakeholders. I met with all the librarians last week, meeting with principals, and we just want to gather some more feedback around the process. And then we'll come back to you with an update. If there's any changes in that process, we're still going to have a process this year, this semester, but the timeline might just be pushed back a little bit because we just want to make sure that the process is vetted well and that we have a true committee process that will just bring our community together and just build our understanding of just really and celebrate the great work that our librarians do and help us to better understand the whole selection process and what's involved in a topic that can sometimes be divisive. So we will definitely be bringing more information back to you around that. And thank you, board, again, for the opportunity to be able to join virtually tonight.
Thank you, Superintendent Haber, and glad you're able to spend the time up at that conference and have the opportunity to call in. Next, we need a motion to approve the consent agenda as posted.
Moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cons,
Aye.
Mrs. Shandy,
Aye.
Mr. Wilburn,
Aye.
Mrs. Yanez,
Aye.
Mr. Salt.
Aye. All right, we have about 31 people online now. We were up to about 37, 38 a few minutes ago. So we're rocking and rolling. At this time, we're going to take probably about a 7-minute break. We'll come back at 6 o'clock. Thank you. All right, for those online, we have some community members coming into the room, so we're gonna wait probably 30, 40 seconds to make sure everyone can get situated before we move on. All right, there were no items pulled from the consent agenda, so next we move on to our information items. First up is the report of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, Superintendent Haber.
Yes, that would be Ms. Becky Allen, Deputy CFO Superintendent.
Sorry, could you try that again?
Oh, sure. It would be Ms. Becky Allen, Deputy and Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you. I'm off to a bang here this evening. So I'd like to introduce Mr. David Brockway. He is the chairperson for the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, and he has been there literally from day one. And we're just so pleased to have him. And Mr. Brockway, the podium's yours.
Thank you. Of course, is the microphone on? Yes, it is. Okay, thank you. I'm a co-facilitator of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, and this group was formed in 2017 for oversight of the bond, the $230 million bond that was approved in the fall 2016 election. I can give you the brief summary. Chris Garnhart briefed our group when we met on January 24th, when we covered the last 3 months of 2023. All the months look pretty much the same. Spent about $51,000 in October, $51,000 in November on various bond projects, and most of that was offset by interest earnings of monies that are in the bond fund. So not a ton of activity going on in the project, and you can kind of see that because of the academic calendar and those kind of things. But the overall bond project is 95% completed. Of a $230 million bond project, there is about 14 million remaining to go. And with that 14 million of obligations that we have in the construction world, we've got about $1.4 million in contingency funds. So that's a cushion of about 10% built in. So we feel that that's a pretty safe place to be. Would mention the work that remains really is in the facility audit category, and Mr. Garnhart will probably cover some of that, but it's things like $1.7 million of facility audit work, technology infrastructure, about 2.4 million remaining to be implemented there, and then additional board approved projects, about 6.6 million. I mentioned those. The two notables there are the Mountain Ridge Cafetorium, which I believe just wrapped up and is open. Is completed, and then one that's in process is the transportation center and the improvements being made there and the expansions to that. And those were projects that, because there were premiums when the bonds were issued, because this process has been well managed and there have been cost savings on some of the large capital expenditures and buildings that we've built, those projects were be able to be added to the bond language. And also, not to forget the purchase and the renovation of the Village High School too. That was part of the extras that showed up there. Would just mention that this bond has provided 2 new elementary schools, the Challenger Learning Center, new middle school, expansion and remodels at all of the district schools, including TCA. These projects have been substantially completed, as I said, 95%, and delivered. And I think the building fund, the Board of Education, and the district leadership can all be proud of that accomplishment. So we will have our next meeting. We meet once a quarter. We'll meet in April, and I'll be briefing the Board of Education soon after that. And I welcome any questions.
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Hindi.
Great report. Thank you so much. I would love to see in the future your estimated cost and your actual cost as a column. That would be really helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Noted. Thank you.
Any other comments? Director
One
Whitmer.
comment, Mr. Salt. So this is the committee that I sit on, and the committee met for the first time since I've been on the board a couple weeks ago, whatever it was, when we met. And I just want to tell them that the stakeholders in the community, those in the room, those online, those not here, the level of competency and accountability with which this very large sum of money is being handled is exemplary. You two gentlemen and the citizen volunteers on the committee and what have you. I think one of the big problems that many people have with Washington, D.C., no matter where you live politically, is you get tens and hundreds of millions of dollars zooming around, and all of a sudden, who's watching the shop? And next thing you know, things are out of control. This committee has really kept this tight and done what you were impaneled to do and entrusted to do by the community. And I can't tell you how impressed I am with the work, the way you've operated this.
Thank you, Director Wilburn. Thanks.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is the building fund update. Superintendent Haber.
Yes, with Miss Becky Allen, Deputy CFO.
I'd like to please welcome Mr. Chris Garnhart. He's the Executive Director for the Building Fund.
Well, great. Thank you. Welcome, Board of Education, for having me this evening to give you this quick update. I'm going to call this our Winter 2024 update. It's through February of 2024. So if I get to the next slide here. I am pushing the green one. Okay. All right. Let me start off with the facility audit projects. So the first projects listed on the top of this slide are the Rampart and Liberty High School swimming pool equipment upgrades. The intent behind those two projects is to replace the equipment that operates the pool. We just started Rampart about 3 weeks ago. They've gotten most of the demolition done, and we're scheduled to finish that project probably near the end of April, beginning of May. As soon as we finish that project, we'll move over to Liberty High School and do the same basic project over there. Then we have some replacements of some windows at Aspen Valley Middle School, Prairie Hills Elementary School, Warden Roberts Elementary School that will start spring break and it'll roll into summer break. So we won't do it during the school, but there are probably about 15, 20 windows at each school that we'll be pulling out and replacing one for one. And then we have a few more facility audit projects that we're collaborating with facilities management in a couple of categories to finish spending the rest of the facilities audit money. Next slide. Okay, so this is a picture of the Rampart High School pool that is drained. So you can see now the Rampart team is going over to Pine Creek to practice, and they're hosting meets over there at the Pine Creek swimming pool. It was kind of interesting. I talked to Andy Parks the other day, the athletic director, and he said, I didn't know how challenging that was to go to another school to practice, but he thought it was kind of interesting. Next slide, please. Okay, so this slide has two pictures on it. One, the upper left-hand corner is a picture of the mechanical pool room at Rampart High School. You see some grading in there. Below that grading is a pit that has what you see in the lower right corner, what's called a sand filter. That's kind of the old technology behind filtering swimming pool waters. So the water from the pool comes into the sand filter. That's how it gets filtered and pushed back out to the pool. Next slide, please. Now, back up one, please. There you go. Thank you. So what you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner is a picture of the Pine Creek High School mechanical room pool. And I've labeled the pool boiler and the filter tank. Those two same pieces of equipment, like equipment, will go into that Rampart mechanical room pool. And that's what will filter and heat the water in that pool. Just to give you an idea of how well the new filter will work, it'll filter down to 1 micron, which is I think it's 1/1000th of a millimeter, something like that. It's a very small part, so it should keep the water very, very clean. And then also to maintain the water quality in all of our pools, there'll be a UV system where UV light hits the water, has a tendency to destroy the bacteria a little bit better. Next slide, please. And then this is a picture of the cafetorium at Mountain Ridge Middle School that's completed. So what you'll see there is if you look at the area in the back that's all black, that's the back of that stage. And they're in the process of using that now. They've been, that's been turned over to them. We're waiting on a couple of components. There's a couple of operable partitions that won't arrive till mid-February. And when they get here, we'll get them installed. And then upcoming here shortly we'll kick off the construction of our transportation expansion project, which means we'll be building a new building, which you see off in the picture that's labeled new metal building for bus maintenance operation. Once we complete the construction of that building, we'll move that operation in there and do some renovation in the existing building, basically building a new larger dispatch area and a better, larger, I'm going to call it a driver's lounge is probably the better term for it. So I don't want to call it a driver's waiting room or any of that kind of thing. And then we'll move the trainers that do the training for all of our bus drivers from a portable into that building as well. And this is kind of a rendering with the colors of what it'll look like when it's completed. And then we had some core network switches that have been arrived and are being installed. So they're working on. They just got a few components left to put together and put in place and get them up and operating. And we continue to work on the document scanning project. That's all I have for you. Any questions for me?
Board, any questions? Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Great. Thank you.
Next is item 3, the special education update. Superintendent Haber.
Yes, so it'd be Dr. Belinda Lujan Lindsay, Executive Director for Special Education.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and my team, on behalf of my team, we appreciate the opportunity to provide an update from special education. Before I do that, joining me today is my administrative team, so I would like to introduce them. First up is Dr. Becky Harris. She's our Director for Curriculum and Instruction. Jaleesa Stewart, who is now our Director for Compliance. Lisa Brandt is our Special Education Administrator. And Taylor May is our Special Education Administrator, who is responsible for our new program that you will hear a little bit more about today. So our first update this evening, I want to make sure I'm aligned with the PowerPoint, so thank you, is just to share some information. We participated in a facilitated assessment with the Colorado Department of Education. This assessment is a comprehensive monitoring tool, so it is all the districts in the state of Colorado participate in this facilitated assessment. District 20 was one of a cohort that went first, but all school districts will go under this monitoring system. So it assists us as the AU to look at our policies, procedures, and our practices and how they affect the outcomes for students with disabilities. I think it's important to note that this particular assessment did not seek feedback, particularly from parents or staff regarding culture, staffing, or specific programming in our district. It was really about the indicators we're going to go over this evening and how we measure up against those indicators as a school district. The activity wasn't directly tied to specific concerns, and there's no formal report. I think a question came across to us if there was an actual report. There wasn't. We took notes. We had a collaborative conversation as a team, and we are supposed to reflect on that, grow from that, but then create a 4-year action plan on how we're going to improve our practices in the district. The facilitated assessment is centered around those indicators that I just mentioned. We receive data regarding our performance, and it compares us to state established targets and then state performance. The team consisted of case managers across the district, across all levels. It consisted of special service providers, so a social worker, a psychologist, an OT, a PT, a nurse, and then we invited building administrators to join us to understand more about special education. So in that assessment, we reviewed 4 domains, and that took place on September 27th and 28th of this school year. It's important to note that the data is based on 2020-2021 data, so a couple of years in arrears. The 4 domains are child find and initial evaluation, free and appropriate public education and delivery of services. Domain C is school completion and discipline, and domain D is least restrictive environment and placement. So basically, we had a facilitator from CDE come. We went over each of these domains that I just mentioned. We looked at our percentages, and then we talked about whether that was at the target, above the target, below the target, and if it was, why? What are our practices in place that are supporting what we do, or are there some areas of growth that we need to adjust in order to increase outcomes? So I will go over the results. So our first one, if you'll notice just before I get started, there's a dark blue tab that names the indicator that we reviewed, and then just below that is a description. Then we have 3 columns. One is the AU rate. We are the AU. Then we have the state established target and then state performance. So indicator 11 is child find evaluation timelines. This measures our ability to complete an evaluation within the 60-day timeline. Once we receive consent by law, we are supposed to complete that within 60 days. If you look at our average, we were 99.70, just shy of the state target, but above state performance. We were off by 1 that year. It was 1 student. The next one is indicator 12, early childhood transition. This is moving our children from part C to part B. In other words, going from baby to age 3, preschool age, entering the public school system. Our goal is that when we transition those students by age 3, they have an IEP implemented when they enter school. If you'll note, we are at 100% for that category. We met the target and we are above state performance. And Jaleesa is going to share a little bit about the structures that we have that get us to that 100%.
All right, so domain B, that's indicator 7A, 7B, and 7C, preschool outcomes. That is from the Teaching Strategies Gold Assessment that is put on from CDE. They have a beginning of the year checkpoint, a middle of the year checkpoint, and then the end of year checkpoint. And what you'll notice is domain or outcome 7A says social emotional skills. That comes from that assessment. You'll see 1 and 2 underneath. So 1 is the expectation. So children who are in preschool, typically in the afternoon program, are 4 and 5-year-olds, and the rate that they increased by the time they exited the program to transition to kindergarten. And that number only includes students with disabilities. Then number 2 is what students were at age expectations within the preschool program before they transitioned over to kindergarten. So if you notice on outcome 7A and 1, we met the state target for 1 and 2. Here we go. And then for outcome 7B, which is the acquisition and use of knowledge and skills, including early language and communication and literacy. For 1, we were a little below the state target, and for 2, the same. And then outcome C, for 1, we were a little below the target, and for 2, we met the state target for those domains. It's important to mention that this was coming out of COVID, where most of our learners were online and isolated from their peers. We were able to take this data to our preschool PLCs. Actually, it was 2 teachers who led that process. They reviewed the data and kind of worked together as a team to kind of talk about what structures and things that they can put in place to improve those numbers.
Our next domain is C, which is graduation, indicator 1, and IEP dropout exeter, indicator 2. So for the first one, this is the percentage of students, 85.71%, who with an IEP graduated with a regular high school diploma. You'll note that we are above the target and we are above the state performance. The second one is IEP dropout exeter. These are the students that are on IEPs that elect to drop out for whatever reason that they have left school. This is where we would want our number to be low. So we are at 14.2. That is below the state target and below state performance. There were some questions around the data. This is only students with disabilities that these numbers represent. It's important to note too that our students that are in our Bridges program, 18 to 21, If they have a regular diploma and opt for transition services, they leave their diploma at the high school. They participate in our program, and they can, depending on when they enter, they can participate up to 3 years and earn up to 9 credits. If they don't earn the entire amount of credits that they might be missing, they will age out of the Bridges program once they turn 21.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Shandy.
a quick question for you, if you don't mind. About how many students does 14% represent?
That's a great question. I will have to get that.
Okay,
to you.
sorry, I didn't
Nope.
ask that. I just,
No, I appreciate that. I can get that number.
and so the Bridges kids, if they drop out, are they included in this number, or is it only for?
For graduation, no, they're not
Okay,
included.
thank
No.
you.
Mhm. And I will get that number to you so that you can have know exactly how many students we're talking about. Typically, our Bridges program has about 60 students every year. But some do come with enough credits and they've left their diploma, but there are some that don't have enough credits and they still come. So they might be shy. So they can fall into both
All
categories.
right, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Okay. Our next one is indicator 4A and 4B. This is suspension and expulsion rates. This relates to students with a disability that are suspended or expelled for more than 10 days. If you notice that number is low, again, that's where we want to be, below the state target and below state performance. So we also do not have disproportionate representation when we are looking at suspension and expulsion for students with disability. So this is actually good data for us to know that our students are not falling into this category and that we're working with our students and our families to ensure that we have appropriate supports in place. Hey, domain D. This is around the educational environment. We also call that LRE, or least restrictive setting. 5A, 5B, and, oh, thank you. 5A, 5B, and 5C. The first one, 5A, is the percent of children in general education 80% of the time or more. This means that they're included in their classrooms. So if you look at our number, 81.58%, we are higher than the state target and higher than the state performance. For 5B, for children in general education, less than 40%, typically those students are in a center-based program. We're at 3.40%, less than the state target and less than state performance. So that's also good. 5C is the percent of children in separate school, a residential facility, if they're home or hospital placement. That number for us is 0.78%. Again, that's a lower number for us. That means we have more students in our schools. Okay, and then Jaleesa is going to cover the preschool environment.
So indicator 6A, B, and C is around preschool environments. 6A is around the children with IEPs, ages 3, 4, and 5, that are within the regular early childhood program. The Office of Special Education defines that as there needs to be 50% general education students and then 50% students with disabilities, and that's a regular education program. Within our preschool program, we're an integrated program, so our students are actually integrated within the preschool environment 100% of the time. Actually, through digging in this data, we realized, we were like, why does it say 99.17? It was just a clear error that through that process, we were able to clear up. Because all of our preschool teachers are dually certified. So they're the general education teacher and the special education teacher. And then you'll notice that 6B and 6A say 0%. So we do not have any preschools that have self-contained classrooms. So that would be students with disabilities that do not have any access to general education peers like you may see in some varying districts. So that's why it says 0%, and we are on target for that with the state. We have a good inclusion rate for our preschool programs.
So just in a summary, there are some celebrations and affirmations that we'd like to share with you. These are just a few that we'd like to note. It's very special here. We do have our evaluations for our preschool children. They are play-based. All of our staff that participate in the child find process have gone through extensive training to ensure that they can provide that evaluation in that type of setting. Our child find process is efficient and compliant at 100%. That is typical for our child find process. They work really hard to get those evaluations done. When a student is eligible, they work to get that IEP completed. The The team noted that it is good that we have special education facilitators that can help case managers throughout the district. And for that year, we did complete 343 timely evaluations for students. Areas of growth. These are some things that we noted. We will identify and track students with disabilities that are opting for a GED. Just because a student opts out for a GED, if they have related services, we are still responsible to provide those related services through the age of 21. So we are going to track them and make sure that they get those services. We are going to address the challenges of a site-based district with the federal requirements under IDEA, understanding that the process is what we have to follow and adhere to, and making sure staff have that training. We are going to enhance our goal writing, our progress monitoring, and IEP writing. The better we do, the better outcomes for our students. We are also going to train our staff on functional behavior assessments and writing behavior intervention plans. That is the facilitated assessment. Taylor is up unless you have a question for me. Good.
Good evening. Before I share with you details and the committee's final name recommendation for this new special education program, I would like to point out that this committee followed administrative policy FFR throughout our process. This is a process timeline for your review. As you can tell, we started August 2023 by selecting committee members. Committee members were selected based off recommendations as well as a few volunteers. Committee members met throughout the month of September several times. During this time, we talked about the development of the new program. We brainstormed new name options and considered those options, as well as voting throughout the process. We finished up, looks like October 4th, with our final discussions as well as our final votes. This committee represents all three levels within our district, so elementary, middle, and high school. Committee members include teachers, special service providers, amazing District 20 parents, community members, administrators, and I think that includes everyone. The committee generated and considered 9 total names. From these 9 names, we were able to narrow it down to 3 at the end of September. Those 3 names being Aspire Learning Academy, Elevate, and Strive Learning Academy, with our final recommendation as Aspire Learning Academy. Just over 66% of our committee members selected that as their #1 name recommendation. I personally love the name Aspire Learning Academy and want to thank all of our committee members for the time they put into this at the beginning of the school year and their dedication to this new special education program. And up next, we have Jaleesa Stewart that's going to give you a preschool update.
Mr. Chair,
Miss Sandy.
real fast, Taylor.
Yes,
Just for my background knowledge, how were committee members chosen?
Recommendations as well as a few volunteers. All of the committee members, though their connection to the program is vastly different, have some type of vested connection to this program. When we announced that we were designing a new special education program, chatter amongst the district did spread, and I had several people who contacted me individually and asked, could I be a part of this? I'm really excited for this new program and I want to kind of take part in the experience.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, let's talk about preschool again. So with our preschool classrooms, we are a play-based program, so that just basically means learning through play. We have 3-year-olds that come in the morning and 4-year-olds that come in the afternoon, and it's 4 days a week. That Friday for teachers is planning, cleaning, lesson planning, doing their PLCs. Again, our teachers are duly certified, having that master's in early childhood special education. There are 2 paraprofessionals that are also in the classroom, and they can get up to 15 kids within the classroom. And we, again, have 50% of general education students and 50% students with disabilities, and we utilize Teaching Strategies Gold. Some partnerships that we have is with CPCD Head Start program. We actually house the Head Start program at High Plains Elementary. The Resource Exchange that we also partner with that serves our babies who are 0 to 3 until they transition into preschool, as well as Joint Initiatives, which is our local coordinating organization for universal preschool. And then we also partner with community-based preschools as well. Preschool sites and where they're located. So we have 17 classrooms with at 13 schools. You'll see it noted where there's more than one classroom, and then the map of where they are throughout the district. So who do we serve? We only serve students who live within District 20, and that's basically because of the running wait list that we always have. The totals you see there is as of 1/25/24, our total number of students is 430, with students on an IEP being 178. It's important to note that we have to save slots for students on an IEP, so all of our slots may not be full. So if a student moves out of state or transfers into the district, we have to legally serve them, which is why we have to hold slots for those students with an IEP. So that's why the numbers could look a little bit different, because we have to hold those seats. All right, and what is preschool child find? So preschool child find, so I'm a mom, I'm noticing my kid isn't talking or speaking like some of my friends' peers. They can call the district office to our child find coordinator and say, hey, I have some concerns. Our preschool office will schedule a screening for the kiddos, and based on that data, they'll decide whether they need to move forward with an evaluation or if there's just some community resources that we need to refer them out to. Through that process, we evaluate kids ages 3 to 5 through a multidisciplinary team. And we also, most of our staff who is within that team are trained in play-based assessments. It's also important to note that we do work collaboratively with libraries, community preschools, doctors' offices, Head Start to get the word out, to get families to come in. And we've also have gone to various public places to hand out flyers to also get the word out to families as well.
Mrs. Stewart, I'm sorry, may I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Is this available to any in-district child who's not in our preschool program yet?
Yes, so they might have been staying at home with mom, 3 years old. They call and say, hey, I have some concerns. So any family, it's free. They call and say, I have some concerns, and they're scheduled for a screening. And then based on that would move to an evaluation.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I mixed up all my pages, so I'm just going to keep on going. So this is child find data. So as of 23-24, we're at about 51 child find evaluations. We do those evaluations on 2 different days. And it's important to note that the structure that we have now, which was highlighted within the facilitated assessment for indicator 12, this is how we get to that 100%. Our team works really hard. One of the things that were noted was they do the evaluation within that day, meet with parents, and they write the IEP. So that's a lot of process that's happening within that one day with that child find team. And then we also have a placement committee that kind of looks at what the students' needs are and kind of basically looks at their homeschool and then tries to get them as close to their homeschool as possible if we don't have a preschool within that homeschool. And now I'll introduce Dr. Becky Harris.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Shandy.
quick question for you. So for the preschool, what is the requirement to fill those teachers' positions when you have a long-term sub, like a maternity leave or whatever? Are they required to have a special education certification or?
Well, finding a teacher with a special education certification is hard. We currently have 2 long-term subs right now who are in our preschools, and we have our early childhood special educator who is our lead preschool teacher, and she actually oversees that process. So she ensures that the students is receiving their services, their related services, monitors their progress monitoring to make sure those students are making progress on their goals, and she is actually the one who runs those IEPs. So she oversees that process by giving that teacher who's working in that classroom, working collaboratively with lesson plans and things for the kids based on their goals. Good question.
So the sub might not have a certification,
sub
but
might not have a
they're still
certification.
covered with, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. Any other questions?
Thank you. Our next update is around support that we are providing to schools. In addition to scheduling our facilitators, our behavior team, and our tutors in schools, we recognize the importance for our directors to be in schools regularly as well. Our goal every year is to visit all schools in person, and we are committed to being responsive to our school needs. Since August, Dr. Lujan Lindsay and myself, we have visited 24 of our 34 schools and sites in person. Of the 24 sites, we have visited several of them multiple times, depending on the need. So sometimes we might be there multiple times in a week, or we might be there multiple times in a month. It just depends on what's happening at that time and what the situation is. We have supported all 34 of our schools and sites this year in some fashion, whether they come to the EAC to meet with us, or if we do a Teams meeting or phone calls, things like that. Again, we just want to be really responsive to our schools. In addition to our scheduled visits with our teams on any given day, each director and administrator, we will respond to 8 to 10 school situations. So we're very busy. In addition to those scheduled times, we're just stepping out of meetings to take calls and to handle situations. During second semester, we are continuing to respond to schools as needed, but we have added 5 targeted questions that we are asking schools when we go. We really want to guide our discussions and provide good feedback so that we can continue to improve. Our questions are around school schedules, structures, training, program guidance, and the CDE quality indicators. So we ask these questions in relation to our special education programs in particular. Our feedback and support is through one-to-one meetings with principals, one-to-one meetings with our SPED admin designees in the buildings. Sometimes it's with our SPED teams at the buildings. We also go to leveled principal meetings and K-12 principal meetings to provide trainings to our administrators. To close the feedback loop, we use our facilitators to help us make sure that our feedback is being implemented in the schools. And when we need accountability for implementing feedback, we typically will have conversations with our principals and we'll use our principal support group, the PSSGs, to help us when needed. Are there any questions about how we're supporting our schools this year? Thank you. Up next is Lisa Brandt.
Thank you. All right, so the behavior team was created in an effort to provide direct support for students who demonstrate challenging behavior in our schools. And we have expanded this team year over year. The team currently consists of 2 behavior coaches, 1 facilitator, and 7 tutors who have specific school assignments. The purpose of those assignments is to ensure that schools are clear on who their point of contact is and receive ongoing and consistent support. Additionally, we have 1 board certified behavior analyst or BCBA and 3 registered behavior technicians or RBTs. Those team members are not assigned to specific schools and they are deployed on an as needed basis. Guidance for our use of BCBAs and RBTs in the schools is under continuous review to ensure that we are providing equitable support across our district. All right. Our behavior team provides a variety of support, and we provide support to all students in the district from pre-K all the way up to our transition age 21. We also serve a wide range of student needs, from those with no plans, so we're helping teams create some MTSS plans and put support plans in place, all the way through students who have IEPs and may be receiving services in our center-based programs. We provide weekly in-building support in our schedules to provide modeling, in-the-moment feedback, and crisis intervention to schools. Another way that we provide support to schools is through ongoing trainings at various levels. All of the trainings noted here on this slide have been provided since the start of this school year, in addition to our verbal de-escalation, which was provided last year. You'll note that some of the trainings are provided at the school level and some at the team level, and this is because we respond to needs as requested from different schools. Some of the teams that we train might include special education teams or teams of general education teachers who requested additional guidance. One of the main ways that we provide support to schools is through our referral process. This collaborative process is designed to align behavior interventions and ensure follow-through for our student success. Year to date, our team is responding to 103 student referrals total, and I think it's important to note that there is an even split between students with disabilities and those without. Finally, I wanted to share a little bit of feedback from a survey that was shared with our school teams. So anyone who submitted a referral this year has worked with our team was asked to share feedback with us. This survey was administered to receive perception data around the level of support that we are providing to schools. And this year we restructured our school assignments. So the question you see here is in connection to that restructuring. Of the 40 respondents that we had, 34 indicated that the new structure of school assignments had an overall positive impact and that their students and staff receive more support as a result of the restructuring, as noted in blue on that pie chart. Are there any questions before I hand it off?
Ms. Yanez.
I had one question on the last slide.
Yes. I don't know how
So
to go back.
can you talk more about, can we go back to that other slide?
I don't know. The red button.
Okay. The data between elementary and secondary.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
So that's a great question. I think sometimes what we're seeing is that it takes a while for us to figure kids out. And I think by the time kids are getting into secondary, sometimes we have figured it out a little bit better. That's my personal opinion, is that we have figured out the appropriate plans that are needed to support kids. I don't know the exact data, but a large portion of those elementary students are kindergarten students who may be new to school or who are rolling up from preschool that are really figuring out how to do school full time. So I don't know the exact number, but I would say a large portion of that elementary is kindergarten. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Shandy.
just for clarification, because the beginning was about 2021.
Oh, correct.
This is about 2023, 2024.
Yes, thank you
Okay.
for asking. This
Okay.
is 23, 24.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Next, I will pass it off to Dr. Lujan Lindsay.
So Ms. Shandy, I think for that, with the data, we have grown in our behavior interventions and supports over time. We've recognized even post-COVID, the need to support students in the classrooms has increased. So we had a smaller behavior team, and if you notice by the chart that we shared today, we have grown tremendously to be able to support all of our schools. But that is the current data. The facilitated assessment was 2021. So I apologize if that wasn't clear.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Ms. Shandy.
Thank you. And just regularly, is it always such a 3 or 4 year back? Now that is the standard process and procedure.
We are always in arrears with our data.
And that far back?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And I would assume that we probably went further back because of COVID too. But I think about 10 years ago when my predecessor was here and they did a similar kind of monitoring assessment, the data was just as far behind.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, I did have a question from the board around parent concerns. So I just wanted to briefly go over the steps that we take when we get a concern in special education and share with you the things that we do. First and foremost, we make several phone calls. We are talking with families when we receive a concern. Sometimes the concerns go straight to the school. Sometimes they come direct to our department, and we're emailing parents and we're emailing teams. But then we also do program visits. We want to get better context and better understanding of the situation. So we will go out to our schools and make program visits. We will also do student observations. We will want to see the student. We will want to see and understand what is happening and how can we best support and problem solve the situations. So we will go out to our schools. The IEP process is the process that helps us collaborate with our families. We can do reviews of IEPs, but we can also do reevaluations if there's disagreement or we want to get better data on what's going on with a student. That process also helps us get better information and collaborate with families. We also have our facilitators, like Dr. Harris mentioned. They help the IEP teams. They guide them through that process, through the collaboration, scheduling meetings, making sure everybody that needs to be at the meeting to support the questions and the concerns that happens so that we can work through that together. We also have CDE that provides facilitation for schools and districts and parents. So either a parent or a school district can reach out to CDE and we can get a facilitator to come and help facilitate a meeting through the IEP process to help get, problem solve, figure out what's going on. So that is free, and that is something that many of our families participate and request, as well as the school district. And always, parents can request an IEP meeting at any time. We share that with our families consistently. When they have a question, when they have a concern, it's really important for them to call that meeting, to bring the school team together so that they can problem solve, they can hear out their concerns so that we can figure out what we need to do differently to support the student. And then IDEA has an embedded process for resolution. That's the dispute resolution process. So parents get a copy of their procedural safeguards, and then there are the steps. If they feel like they've exhausted the collaboration and IEP meeting, they are always able to go through dispute resolution to help us solve any kind of situation. So those are the ways that we address parent concerns. They are individualized in nature, one at a time, one family at a time, but we do address them when they come up.
Dr. Lujan Lindsay?
Yes, sir.
Is there any concern in observation bias when you go and do program visits?
Say that again?
Is there any concern about observation bias when you go and do program visits, that the environment's changing a little bit because of the observation and the presence of the special teams?
I don't believe so. I think when we visit our programs, our staffs are working really hard, and whether I'm walking in, a tutor is walking in, the staffs are doing what they're doing with children. I don't think there is a bias. I don't think there's a change of behavior. They are very grateful when we go out to their sites, when we go into programs. They readily have questions. We communicate, we collaborate. So no, I don't. Our staff is working very hard and doing the very best job that they can. So I do think they are very committed, and I don't sense that at all.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so the last slide, just to share with you, I think it's important to also highlight the things that we're doing in special education to improve communication, but also just to partner with our community. For this year, we did create and write a SPED handbook for parents that went out to every single parent that has a student with a disability and with an IEP, and that includes all of our new families that continually enroll in the district. For the first time this fall, we did have a special education information night, and we partnered with some community members that came in and had booths and tables for information for our families. And then we also had mini sessions around behavior, on how to support your child, understanding the IEP process so that parents could feel educated and feel comfortable with that process. Many times they have questions and are unsure, so we want to make sure that we educate them and empower them to ask good questions. So we're looking forward to sponsoring some of those events in the future, whether it's fall, spring. We would like to find a rhythm of that kind of support for our families. We are in our second year of Project Search, and while it is the second year, I always want to brag about Project Search because it is a program. Mr. Saul has been to our graduation, and a few of you. It's just a great program for our 18 to 21. It's our partnership with UC Health. Our students in 18 to 21 apply for acceptance. They go through a skills lab and they go through a face-to-face interview, and then they have the opportunity to get an unpaid job in the hospital setting. So all the departments volunteer to take our students, and it's just a great opportunity to see them grow and get some job skills and then potentially some employment. So we're in our second year. Applications are still being accepted until February 16th. So anybody listening that would like to have their child considered can still do that. I'm really proud of Dr. Harris and the instructional team. I have to tell you, they spent an incredible first semester collecting data. We just completed our resource program review. And so what that consisted of was case managers at all levels and building administrators. And it's around a mild moderate program and really getting feedback from them about what's working and what's not. And what are some suggestions that they have for us to improve our mild moderate program going forward. Dr. Harris and her team are going to take all of that feedback to our Special Education Advisory Council, which I've listed here, and also get feedback from our stakeholders around our resource program. And we hope to make some positive changes to help our students experience even more success in that program. So we're really excited about that. It's been a great opportunity. It's been a great learning experience for all of us. The other thing we're really excited about is that we get to add to our continuum of services for our students with disabilities. We have started an in-house Bridges program for our 18 to 21 students. It is located here at the EAC, and while we thought we would start with 5, we are probably more than 10 students. So it's growing, we're learning, and we're providing that great service. And then of course, Taylor shared with you, we're excited this fall to be able to open up Aspire Learning Academy, which is also going to be here at the EAC. I mentioned SEAC. We're also going to send out a survey to our parents this spring to get feedback on their experience with special education in their individual schools so that we can inform principals and let them know how things are going and work together to problem solve any situations, but also just to highlight the good things that are happening in our schools. And then the last thing, we are focusing on training our administrators really around the IDEA and the IEP process and making sure they understand when they leave their buildings and their teams what that law is. And so this year we have focused on inclusive culture, how to write a prior written notice, and then how to fill out and complete a consent for evaluation. So that's been the focus for the administrators this year. Do you have any questions for me?
Ms. Inez.
Okay, so Project Search is through UC Health.
It's a partnership with UC Health. Yes, ma'am.
Can you clarify the difference between Bridges and Aspire? I got the benefit of hearing about Aspire a little bit during onboarding, but I think our community would love to hear more about that too.
So Bridges is for students 18 to 21. They are working on life skills, independent living skills. So we work on job skills, we work on independent living. So how to fill out a resume, how to apply for a job, bank accounts, right? Saving money, spending money, a debit card, right? Last year we did a class on self-defense, how to protect yourself in the community, how to be safe. So those are the things that we work on with our young adults as they transition into independent living as much as possible. But our Aspire Learning Academy is going to be for our students. Eventually, we're going to start with secondary, but it'll go from kindergarten to 12th grade. So that's the difference. Aspire Learning will be another opportunity for our students that require a higher level of LRE. When we talked about LRE earlier, right, less than 40%, they need a more restrictive setting. We want to give them that one more opportunity in our district to be able to close the gap in their learning, provide good social emotional supports so that they can return back to their home school and join their peers. But this is us being able to really give our students one more opportunity before we go out to a BOCES, to a separate facility and things like that. Having RBTs, social workers, and BCBAs, we really feel like we can provide that support to our students successfully. And we believe in our students. We want them here. So we want to give them that one more chance.
Mr. Wilburn.
Thank you for that great report. Your team just does an incredible job. So Bridges' graduation was last week, wasn't it? Yes. That was the first one I've ever been to. That was so much fun. The look on those kids' faces. The one young man, I forget his name, he looked like Rocky when he reached the top of the steps when he came down there. It was incredible. Couple of quick things. So you had mentioned the only part of the facilitated assessment where we came up below state standards were 7, B, and C, attributed that to COVID, which makes perfect sense. So by that, I assume the state did not adjust its numbers in the COVID years. They just flatlined it and you guys do the best you can.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think, if I may, I think it's important for folks to know, and we discussed it, but during COVID, there was no grace around IDEA or the expectations for students with disability. Where the bar was set, the bar stayed. So we were responsible for delivering all services the way we would as if we had been in-person learning. We did not get any waivers or grace under IDEA.
State Gov. And in your area for growth, your second bullet point, I think is a great one, or maybe it was the first one. And that is providing assistance to those wanting to pursue GEDs. Do we have statistics now on how many come out of the programs and eventually do go on to get their GED or want to? Do we know that yet?
How many students would elect to go for a GED versus a high school diploma?
Correct.
I can get that number for you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
And the next item is item 4, primary textbooks for English language arts, grades K through 12. Superintendent Haber.
Yes, would Mrs. Stacy Killingsworth, Director of Curriculum and Instruction, please?
Good evening. It's an honor to be here tonight representing the instructional materials review process. I know we have new board members, so I'm just going to kind of do a summary of how that process works before naming those resources that we're putting forth for approval. So this process is governed by policies IIAC, which is the Standards Implementation Review Process, as well as IIAC R2, which is the selection of instructional materials. So basically, the standards review process says that each content will be reviewed every 5 years. So this year we're reviewing English language arts, next year it will be science, and we rotate through that. That is to keep in alignment with all of the revisions when CDE does their standards updates as well. So That's just kind of the process we use to keep up to date with that system. In terms of the actual selection of instructional materials, so this process is for primary instructional materials, which defined by policy means more that staff members use those resources 25% or more of the time in an instructional course. So whether it's a semester-long course or a year-long course, defining 25% is really challenging, but really it's that primary instructional material that they use to teach whatever content they're teaching. So what we do each year is my team, and I have them here, we have 3 teachers on special assignment, Karen Shoey, who leads the elementary, Brian Thompson, who leads the middle school, and Beth Schleister, I love saying that word, who leads the high school process. And then they work with myself and then Cindy Connor, who is my administrative assistant. And we're sad this is her last year because she's retiring, but she is amazing. But we gather books that we think schools would be interested in, and we solicit information from schools. So there might be schools who say, I want to look at this AP textbook or this IB textbook or this, reading program. And so we gather all of those materials and we start looking through them as a team to say, which ones do we think will be most likely that our teachers will want to review? And then that process, what we do is we get representatives from every school and we bring them together and take them through the instructional review process. And so, as you saw in your large packet, they use an instructional expert panel review form that they walk through as they go through each of these materials. And it's divided into 4 areas. So they're really looking at the resource in general. How user-friendly is it for the teacher? How easily accessible is it for all students? So does it have speech to text for students who might need to access that? Really looking at how it can be used with students. Then they rate the content. So how well is it aligned to standards? How age appropriate, factual? Does it bring in different perspectives and diversity within that particular content? And then does it promote strategies that will help our students when it comes to critical thinking, inquiry? Does it include assessment tools? Does it help the teacher be able to differentiate more? Those kinds of things. And then most importantly, is it aligned to our Colorado academic standards? Because sometimes we get confused that the textbooks are the curriculum. They aren't, right? Our curriculum is the Colorado academic standards, and the instructional materials are what teachers use to teach those standards, right? And so my TOSAs do a great job of walking teachers through. So teams of teachers will fill out those panels like you saw and rate those books. And you can see that there's numbers. And so we look at what does that overall average tell us? And we want most of our books in the areas to fall an average of 4 to 5. Now, what we also know is there's no magic textbook that will address everything, right? So there are going to be some forms that have numbers a little bit lower, but that's where we use what we call supplemental materials. And we have amazing teachers in this district who know, oh my gosh, this textbook doesn't really cover this. I'm going to use this resource, right? So that's where their professional judgment comes into play with that. So once they go through that whole process, the teacher, the TOSAs over here will add up all the numbers and we'll take a look at it and decide which ones we want to move forward to bring to public review and then to you to ask for approval. So just some numbers in terms of, I know one of the questions that came up was how many do we start with and how many do we put forward? So at the elementary level this year, we reviewed very few. We only reviewed 2 and we're only putting 1 forward. In our middle school, we actually started with 10 resources and then later narrowed that down to 7 through 1 process and then down to the final that we're submitting tonight, which is 3. And then at the high school level, there were originally 13 resources. After the teachers put it through scrutiny, 8 of them were weeded out. And then we had 5 that there were a couple that were we're not really sure. And by the time we weeded it down, we're putting forth 3, right? So our teachers do a great job of really scrutinizing and what textbooks do they want to use to best impact student achievement, right? And outcomes. So that is how we get to the textbooks at that point. And as I said, many of them, especially when you look at ELA, they're really focused on reading. So sometimes you'll see on those comments, well, the writing aspect of it is not really that strong. Well, that's where some of our other writing supplemental programs, some of our schools use Step Up to Writing, they use Right Now. Those are programs that they supplement when it comes to the actual writing instruction. And then finally, we get here where we have a 2-week public review, and you can see that we had some amazing public review comments and folks who come in. I think when I started here, I'm on year 5. When I started here, like we would maybe have 3 or 4. We have a lot of people who are coming in and being really vested in that collaborative work with the school district. So we're thankful to those community members. And then Cindy, our amazing assistant, puts together this nice packet for you to review and take a look at. So after that process, we have weeded it down to at the elementary level that we'd like to put forth for recommendation for approval. For elementary is the Benchmark Advance. Our middle school, which is grades 6 through 8, we are recommending Into Literature, My Perspectives, English Language Arts, and Springboard English Language Arts. And at the high school level, Into Literature, My Perspective, English Language Arts, and Study Sync Reading and Writing Companion. And then the other thing I forgot to note is the other thing we try to look at is what resources will go K-12. And so that we can start to have some vertical articulation. So you can see that Into Literature is at both the middle and high school, and it's also Into Reading has already been approved at the elementary level. So that does allow that vertical articulation. The same thing with My Perspectives, and then Study Sync was already approved at the middle school. And so now we would like to have that alignment to go forward to the high school. Any questions for me or my team?
Mr. Chair,
Miss Shandy.
thank you so much. We did have great community involvement. I think we get even more if we had it online. I know that there are surrounding districts that have their curriculum that are up for review online, and the community can do that. They aren't required to come in for an hour or whatever. So I would love to see that in the future. I know it's possible because D38 and D49 are doing it. So if they can do it, we can do it.
Of course
So
we can.
I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Wilburn.
The report indicates preliminary pricing, which isn't all that out of line with reality, I don't think. But at what point does that move from preliminary to this is what you'll pay?
So that's where individual schools, because as you know, being site-based, our schools get to choose when they're ready to purchase. So it will be at the time of schools looking into purchasing, and then that's preliminary pricing, but many of our schools make deals with them, right? So like they may purchase it for 3 years and get a discount, or just the digital portion. So it's at the point of when schools then begin that purchasing process.
Miss Yanez.
Hi. So when I was sitting by those tables and looking at resources, I remember really smart people telling me your standards are your curriculum, right? In my first few years teaching, I wanted to sleep with them under my pillow because they're not very fun to get to know, but it's really the foundation of everything you do, right? And so then the resources that you use to teach those and make sure you don't miss anything, because it's sure going to show up when your kids take CMAS. That's not a fun surprise. I know it's not the only score, but it's one that we have. I just want to honor the fact that building resources as a teacher is tough work. And so looking at some of those resources, I was paying a lot of attention to the interventions associated with the resources to make sure that it's a lot of work to be able to build everything all the time. So there were some good options there that I was really happy to see. Do we look at, I can go down a rabbit hole really quick when I get online, but when you're considering resources, do we also look at other schools and districts using that same resource and look at student outcomes?
That's a great question. Yes and no. Well, again, we teach those Colorado academic standards, and the resources are to support that. And so what we found over time, and I've been doing this quite a few years. It's not necessarily about the resource, right? We have schools that can use the identical same program or resource in their school and have very different outcomes, which is why we spend so much time working with our teachers on effective instructional practices and tier 1 instruction, and then tier 2 and 3 for those interventions and remediation. So there are, you can look at schools and see a school who uses, into perspectives and they have high scores. And then you look at another school, same type of community, and have lower scores. But it really is all about training around effective practices, which is also why our district has a huge push for PLCs and MTSS, right? Time for teachers to collaborate and share strategies. I taught this lesson, my kids tanked it. Your kids did great. How do we fix that? It's really all about the instruction, but that's a great question.
Ms. Cons.
So I informally shared with the team earlier that overall I was very pleased with the content and across all grades that were on display. Just a few highlights. For the high school books, my perspectives seemed a little bit more text heavy, which I appreciated, just offering more reading. I was thrilled for all secondary books, how much classical literature was in all of these texts. So just to highlight that all the high school texts had the Odyssey, although one middle school had a graphic novel Odyssey. I'm like, I don't know. But they all had Shakespeare. The middle school ones, Walt Whitman, again, Homer, tons of different dystopian authors, Anne Frank, Shakespeare again. So really, I was a little removed as my children get older to see how much we're supplying, classical literature to them. So I was really thrilled to see that in all those books. And as far as the elementary for Benchmark, just really a cool program, if we call it that, curricular program, with all the resource. And that's exactly the word I was getting to. Because of all the different materials they have, it was, if you didn't see it, kind of more of a magazine type for the kiddos. God bless the teachers, because I think each grade had 5 teachers' manuals. So a lot of prep work for them, but it helps the kids be more engaged with less stuff in front of them. I think sometimes it facilitates more of the working and the, so really that was it. They were really fun to see. Not something I've seen before like that. I did want to just point out again, to echo you, thanks to the community for reviewing. A lot of really thoughtful reviews and diverse opinions that all, just made sense and were spot on. Just want to throw this out to you for the HMH, the into literature for grade 9. Someone had written, do not recommend because of this reason. In a time where we have great concerns over students' mental health and life outlook, I found this textbook full of negative, fear-inducing, dark, depressing examples. I personally didn't see that a ton. I just want to say I did go through it at length. But it was just a great, important comment for us to keep in mind for our students.
I think that's valuable. And to that point, I think that's where, again, our teachers use this as a resource. So they, in the planning process, are keeping all of those things in mind, right? How is this going to impact my students when I bring it to them? I know there was also a comment on maybe some controversial topics. Well, we have a policy that we want them talking about controversial topics, but in a very factual way, not a persuading way, right? So like our teachers really take that to heart and think about how they present that material so that students can engage appropriately in those conversations, right? So thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Jandy.
I had the chance of visiting an elementary this week, and it was great perspective because the principal was talking about how much that her staff, they're piloting the 3rd and the 5th grade benchmark advanced curriculum. And they really liked how much that curriculum provided both the leveling up and the interventions down, where with other curriculum, they have to buy other curriculum to do that because the resources are based just, on the middle. So that was great perspective with the benchmark advanced curriculum that I didn't have before. I will add to Director Khan's comments that there were several, I focused more on the elementary stuff and didn't get to dig into as much as the high school, but there were several comments made for like text for close reading conflicts that shared a nation, that particular one, and then text for closer reading U.S. Constitution, that they were really weak and not a very good resource for us to invest in. So just, I don't know what your thoughts are on those, but that was some of the community feedback that I thought was valuable.
And I think that's great. Again, there's not going to be one textbook that's going to meet everything, and they're going to have to use supplemental resources to support that. I know there were some comments around more of social studies type or history standards. What we have to remember is this is cross content, this is reading. So we're not necessarily trying to get them to master social studies during reading time too. So, right. But we do lots of cross curricular, right? So that's just great information to have for teachers as they're getting ready to use that resource. And
that's a really good point. Yeah.
I had a couple quick questions. Into the middle, into reading, into literature program, one of the comments from the committee talked about needing more explicit writing instruction. And so I was curious, how do we kind of track and support that once this curriculum is approved or this instructional material is approved as it goes forward, that anyone adopting this is going to need additional writing support, or how do we as a district kind of support that when schools adopt it?
Well, now that's a great question. I hadn't really thought about it from that perspective at the moment, right? So again, once this goes on the list and a school decides they want to perhaps look into that, what my team a lot of the time does is we keep some of these resources on hand to be able to take them to the school so they can look through it and then be able to share here's some of the thoughts that the committee had as they reviewed this, but the teachers at that school review it again in a sense, right? To see is this going to fit our needs so that they know what they're getting into, if you will, in terms of what resource they might want for their students.
Thank you. Other one, and I don't remember which one this was, but there was a comment that was made about from the committee talking about unsustainably high costs for that material. Is that something that we get concerned of or that we talk about at the district level, or since this really is up to the schools, we say, here it is, if this is what you want to spend your money on, go for it?
Yes, that's been a great question that we've fought with a lot around site-based. We at the district have tried, if there are multiple schools who might be wanting to try to purchase the same resource, to support them in that process to get lower costs, because the more you buy, the cheaper it's going to be. But ultimately, the other piece that has been a challenge is our schools are at different rotations, if you will, on when they're ready to purchase. So sometimes, Rockrimmon might want a resource this year, but the school who's going to use the same resource isn't ready until 2 years later because it is financially challenging. So that is definitely one drawback to kind of that site-based purchase as you're ready type model.
Ms. Yanez.
I was just going to ask, that was just thinking as you were speaking about the training piece and working that into the budget as well. So I know I was part of piloting Study Sync at the middle school level, checking that out. And we had a trainer come out and talk with us. Is that part of the purchase price? I guess, is that part of the deal? When you buy the curriculum, you get some training around it?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Typically it is when schools, we have a couple schools who have purchased Reveal Math. And so they actually went together and have been doing training as two staffs together, but that is typically the vendors will give you maybe 2 days or 4 days of on-site training and then some online training. I know Rockrimmon is going through extensive training because they purchased that as the package for their ELA curriculum. So.
Any other comments or questions, board? All right, thank you so much. All right, next is item 5, external reviews for 2023-2024. Superintendent Haber.
Yes, would Mrs. Maureen Lane, Executive Director for Learning Services, please come to the podium?
Good evening. I am here because Dr. Field is with our superintendent up in Denver. So on behalf of Dr. Field, I present tonight our report of our external review that has taken place at our schools this first semester. And so the first bullet, this is one part of our accreditation process, and I know Dr. Field's very good about asking if you remember what the other 3 parts are. So here's your quiz. Nicole?
School performance frameworks and
The
UIPs.
yes,
Okay.
that's one. Sorry, I'm putting you
You
on
are
the spot.
totally putting me on the spot. External review, the site
Site
plans.
plans, yep. And the
Fourth
one that
one.
absolutes.
Absolutes.
Very good.
Thanks, Dr. Smith. Okay.
Yes, so as part of our accreditation process, the external review is one piece. And you can see that our schools do this every 3 years. They are facilitated by our PSSGs, which again, another good acronym is our Principal Supervisory Support Group. And we don't facilitate our own school. So like, for example, this year I facilitated Mountain Ridge Middle School and Aspen Valley Campus. And those are 2 of my schools that I do not supervise. The principals, they look to see what their topic is going to be. And then from that, they decide who they want to have on their panel because they really want to choose people that know about this topic and are experts. So then the principals, they look at their research question. And as you can see from the next slide, we had 11 schools this year who participated in our external review process. And you also, as part of your packet, received the full report with the questions, the commendations, and the recommendations. So this is a summary of this year's topics. And as you can see, it's great. Our schools and what they're focusing on is teaching and learning. And just some of the words that I like to pull out, like in the first line, growth and achievement. And the third one, PLC work. The fifth one, the MTSS process. And then that third to the bottom, student engagement. And I know that one, I believe, is Ranch Creek, because that is one of my schools that I supervise. So, and then the last one, that reading growth with in their interventions. So the expert panel is, like I said, the principal really looks at who they want to have come in as those outside eyes, the fresh eyes to look. And we also require that at least one person on the panel is from outside of District 20. Our principals rely a lot on our neighboring districts for some of their specialists or administrators and principals. Then they also look inward in our district to see, oh, what are some teachers who would be able to serve for on this panel, as well as some of our teachers on special assignments, who are 3 of them are sitting here tonight. I know all 3 of them have served on these external reviews as well. Karen Reynolds was actually on the one that I did at Aspen Valley. And so it's so nice that we have some close connections with our neighboring districts that we can ask people to come and serve on our panels. So how the day looks is we show up and we, those of us who facilitate, we do a quick briefing about the process. And then we really want the school to share their data, their history, their unique characteristics. For example, when I was doing Mountain Ridge, they had moved from their time, I can't even think of it now, what was it called? The Mountain Ridge, they had Grizzly time. And now they're doing interventions during that time. And so Jeff Sturck, the principal, was able to share the reasons why they had made those changes. And then the day really was focused on, are they making the best use of those interventions and is it making a difference? And then what happens is the panel, just throughout the day, we do observations in classrooms, we maybe sit in teams especially those that are focused on a PLC process, then they will sit with that team and see them go through the PLC. And the best part is the student panel. And many of our schools, especially our secondary schools, will have students that they love it too, because they probably get a free lunch out of the deal. But it's fun to be able to interact with students and hear what they love about their school, maybe some challenges. At Mountain Ridge, Jeff had them come and talk about, and they were students that were in different interventions. So we were able to ask them about, what were the successes and maybe what were some of their challenges. All right, so then in your report that you got, these are the findings that the facilitator guides the group. And usually this takes us to about an hour and a half to 2 hours to kind of do this debrief. And we look at what are the great things that they are doing that we observed during the day. And then what are our recommendations? And we know that we are there for a short time. However, we also have a lot of questions. Like we'll have the admin come in before we start writing this, just because if we need some clarifying questions from the team. The focus is always on growth and improvement. And again, this is where it's a great way for outside eyes to come in and just give some suggestions. We also, as part of this, we like to offer the school even resources that might be beneficial as they would move forward with some of the recommendations. And then we share this with the principal. At the end of the day, we do a quick debrief with just the facilitator and the principal. And then we come back, we write the final report, and then we send it to the principal and their supervisor for them to review together. All right, so just a sample of some of these commendations that were shared with these schools this year. Again, as you can see, tons of great things going on in our schools with teaching and learning. Again, looking at that successful peer tutoring, staff are owning the MTSS process. There's a master schedule that's been revamped, and belief in students. I love this last one, that all students can learn. And as a team comes into a building, those are some of those things that we see, we feel, and that we hear from our students. And one of the, commendations was one at Air Academy High School with makeup work at one of our high schools. And I think one of you asked the question about what does that look like? So it is for students who have a partial schedule. If they don't have a partial schedule, then there are other ways that the school has put some interventions in place to help with students who have makeup work. But if a student has a partial at Air Academy High School, then they come in when they aren't having class to make up that work. All right, then some recommendations. And again, this is just a sampling and you have the full report of all of them. Teachers using data, again, that has been a huge focus this year with our professional learning communities. And so we want to continue to provide that feedback to our schools. And the fourth one, teachers need to tie learning targets to success criteria. And I really want to relate this to those 4 questions with the PLC, because those learning targets are, what do we want students to know and be able to do? And the success criteria is then, how are we going to know if they've learned it? So we model this a ton with our own professional learning with our staff. So again, really wanting to have our teachers thinking about what are those learning targets and how are they going to know if those students have met that criteria. All right, so then once the final draft is sent, the DAC, which in March is what Dr. Field said will be on the agenda. So this same report that you received in your board packet will go to our District Accountability Committee. Also, which just this week in our communication tool, there is that same report that is going out to all of our schools, because we know that we have some new principals too, and they might want to see, okay, I know I'm up for external review next year. What are some examples of some questions? And also what, what are some things that they're working on? Maybe I can connect with that school. And what are some things that I see they're doing really well? And we really like to have our principals be collaborating with each other. All right, questions?
Ms. Shandy.
Thank you.
You're the question.
I know, I'm
questioner
full of
tonight.
questions tonight, sorry. How do we follow up with like accountability and that type of thing, that we know that it's being followed through? And then how do we do that year to year? And then do we track, I'm asking 3 questions in one, so I don't have to keep asking Mr. Chair
may I
for my
write these
permission
down?
to speak. And then how do we track trends over the year, over the years, so that we see as a district how we're improving, or do we see a trend that continues to pop its head up? Or
Okay, so when you say trend, as far as the implementation of the recommendations, or a trend in the data at the schools, so what
yes,
kind of
the
trend?
second.
The second. Okay.
Yes.
So your first question was accountability.
Yeah, how do we
So-
know that they're following through on
Yeah.
the recommendation?
So as PSSGs, that is our responsibility to make sure that the principal is, because we review all of them and we look through all of the recommendations, and we know that on some of them, as you saw, they're like 20 or 30. So we really prioritize, like, what do you think is something that we could start right now, maybe next month, maybe next year? And some of them even use this again with their site plan review, because they might then integrate some of those recommendations into their action plans of their site plan. So it really is an accountability piece with the PSSGs and the principal. Okay, your second question was?
I don't remember.
No, that was the third question.
Yeah, do we track, or
Oh,
the
do we-
accountability from year to year? But
Yeah.
I think you answered it with the PSSGs and the ongoing.
And, we are fortunate that we don't switch schools a lot with our PSSGs. So like I've
There's
had Ranch Creek
consistency.
for
Yeah.
5-6 years, and more than that, probably 7 years. And so now I've been, I know their site plan, I know what's been on their external review, and it's an ongoing conversation. As PSSGs, we have a monthly planner, and we have specific questions that we ask our principals each month, and part of that is all of 4 of these accountability pieces in the accreditation. And then the trends for data. Of course, with all of the data conversations that we have had, and with their site planning as well, they always have to put in what percentage of this action step is been completed. But as far as, like during this process, the schools will share their data, and they do share the trend data. During our site plan process, we also share trend data, just because then that helps guide good decisions. Does that answer your
thank you.
questions?
I appreciate it.
Tacey or Jim, anything else? Okay.
I don't think so.
They're my other 2 partners back here with PSSGs.
Director Wilburn.
Thank you. You filled in for Dr. Field admirably.
Thank you.
She's a tough act to replicate.
Yes, she
Um,
is.
Are all the members of the expert panels volunteers, including the professors and the telesos?
Yes.
We don't compensate any of those people?
No.
Okay.
The only thing we would do is pay for a sub, perhaps, if it's
Yeah,
a teacher out of a
that's
classroom.
Reasonable. Okay.
Yeah.
And provide a nice lunch,
Yes.
And
they get lots of good swag. Like Jeff Sturk gave us Mountain Ridge hoodies. I know I walked out of there like, ooh.
Any other questions, board? All right, thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, next, it's one of the more exciting topics this evening. school calendars for 2024-25, 25-26, and 26-27. Superintendent Haber.
Yes, with Dr. Jim Smith, Assistant Superintendent for Planning and Engagement.
Good evening. You're right, calendars are in fact exciting. I was looking for a joke that I could share about calendars, but I just couldn't find any. Couldn't even have a funny one to that, you know, like not to date anyway, you know. Thank you. Thank you. All right, good evening. I'm excited to share the proposed calendars for the 24-25, 25-26, and the newly added 26-27 school years. You've had a chance to look at all the different calendars. I'm going to break down a comparison of those over time. So I want to share some highlights. Next year, as you've seen, we have 13 scheduled professional learning community days, or PLC days. This year we had 12, so we're increasing by 1 next year. You'll also note that we've ensured that students and staff have 2 full weeks of winter break. That was a concern that was brought to my attention early on, and we made sure to rectify that. So I hear the applause in my head now. And to address some questions, the color coding that we have on the calendar really is for accessibility purposes. I don't know if Allison wants to chime in on accessibility or not, but not really. But it can be challenging, I get that. So a good example is for the 24-25 school year, teachers will not be working the full week around Thanksgiving. It looks like maybe they would be because the blue and the gold. The gold represents the teaching staff, but the blue represents other staff, like in my position, would say that my position would be working on those blue days. What is really helpful, though, is below each month, we have some descriptors of what's going on in that month, and that really should help clarify what's going on in the month if those colors get confusing to you. We used to use symbols, but we moved away from that because of accessibility purposes. Also wanted to share that working in conjunction with HR, Cameron, we guarantee that the teaching staff will work 183 days per year, even when considering things like snow days or other disruptions that could occur. We also guarantee to the state that students have met the required contact time by level each year. E-learning days, this is an issue of much debate in my own house, but with respect to e-learning days, now that we have e-learning days for snow days, we can predict the end of the school year earlier and more confidently. This year, we've used 2 of the 6 scheduled snow days and will now shift to online learning for secondary schools, meaning that we could theoretically, just theoretically, back up the end of the school year by 4 days, barring any kind of catastrophic event that could prevent us from going online. So if that doesn't happen, then we can kind of think backing up those 4 days for the last day of school and the last day for teachers as well. All right. There was a question about finals before the end of each semester. And finals are primarily the concern of secondary schools, and these schools develop schedules that try to balance giving the finals and preparing for the finals the next day, and also giving flexibilities to students as they prepare to end that semester. Ideally, students should stay for finals and leave once they're complete, but we know that families sometimes schedule vacations a little bit early. And so if a student were to leave early, they could work with their teachers during that finals week, which is typically at the high school level a half day, to be able to make up those final assessments. So those are the highlights. With that, do you have any questions?
Or
Thank you. So just to clarify on calendar 25, 26, and then 26, 27, that said 181 days, that's not correct?
That's correct. It was a clerical error, right? I apologize for that.
So those are both 183 days.
Absolutely.
Awesome, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Y'all laughed when I said this was really exciting. We're up to 42 attendees online. So we peaked just for the calendars. All right. Item 7, annual monitoring report for governance process policy 4.13, cost of governance. Ms. Cons.
Thank you, Mr. Salt. So this is a monitoring report for board policy 4.13. The main paragraph states to enable the Board of Education to fulfill its governance commitment and responsibility. The Board of Education will invest prudently and wisely in its governance capacity. So the stipulations that we're using this for: board development, the board discretionary budget, which you can see those items there, and which we reviewed at the last board meeting on our budget. Board travel, the board discretionary budget guidelines are listed there, and board budget reports. So I just want to, you can review here, but basically every year we participate in a variety of board development training. The most recent one was the CASB convention we went to in December. And I do just want to state this will be reflected on next year's monitoring report for the same policy. But because the CASB convention was really phenomenal, we made a board decision to not spend a lot of money to go to the National School Board Association conference this spring. It would be kind of redundant. So I'm glad that we're saving some money there. Again, that will be reflected next year. The audit committee has been staffed and attended by previous board members and then now currently new board members that sit on that committee. And in conclusion, this information is accurate and this report reflects that we're in compliance.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board? All right. Is there sufficient evidence to determine compliance for each section? Are all sections in compliance? Recognition of exemplary performance or concerns regarding performance? Would you like to see additional or different evidence, or should any part of this policy be changed in the next monitoring report cycle? Do you see any evidence which is extraneous or no longer necessary? All right, thank you. Ms. Cortez, how many people have signed up to speak during public comment section number 1?
We have 5 people signed up for the first section.
Great, thank you. Since we do not have any decision items scheduled for this meeting, our 2 public comment sections will flow back to back. This preamble that I'm about to read applies to both public comment sections. The board welcomes the comments of our community members. Speakers must sign up prior to 1 p.m. via an online form, and they must limit their remarks to 2 minutes or less. In deference to ASD 20 students, students will be allowed to speak first during the first public comment section. Following any students, speakers who wish to comment on an agenda item will be called in the order of their sign-up. We greatly value all comments from the public, but in order to adhere to board policy and accomplish the work already on the agenda, the board will not be responding this evening. Speakers may offer appreciation for or criticism of school operations and programs as concern them, but are encouraged to exercise their speech rights responsibly, as they are personally responsible for any legal consequences attributable to their comments, including claims for defamation. Please keep in mind that students often attend board meetings. Speakers' remarks, therefore, should be suitable for an audience that includes kindergarten through 12th grade students, including no use of profanities or obscenities. Comments concerning personnel matters should be directed to the superintendent or board president in writing with your signature. Supplemental written materials can be given to the security guards, and they will be delivered to the board secretary. The board president will recognize each speaker and may interrupt, warn, or terminate a speaker's statement that is unrelated to the business of the school district, inappropriate for K-12 students, or disruptive to an orderly, civil, and productive meeting. Thank you for your cooperation, and we're going to ask it. There's a note up there. We're just going to ask that you list your name and your affiliation with the district. So we're doing baseball style.
I was just going to remind people of the baseball.
Thank you.
So what I'll do is I will call 3 names at a time so everybody can be ready. Everyone can be ready and be teed up to go. So number 1 will be James Gale, followed by Kyan Wilcox, and then our third is Vanessa Wilcox. James, Kyan, and Vanessa.
Hello, I am James Gale. I'm a student at D20, and I'll be speaking for a student, a teacher. I am here today to read, I am a longtime D20 teacher whose heart breaks more by the day seeing what is happening with our once wonderful district. Most recently, I was deeply troubled by the public feedback forms on the agenda item, primary textbooks for English, language, arts, K through 12 curriculum. These forms contain troubling comments marked by racism and narrow-mindedness, which contradict our educational mission. Our educators, especially with those curriculum expertise, are the backbone of our system. They craft rigorous, morally sound, and inclusive curricular daily. In the face of diverse comments, I urge the board to show that you value the voices of our educators. Those working directly with our students, armed with expertise, should lead the way in shaping our materials. I urge you to not be swayed by the few hateful stakeholders who have stepped foot into D20, who haven't stepped foot into D20 schools in decades. Please listen to our experienced educators who are dedicated to preparing our students for a diverse world. By doing so, we can ensure our curriculum reflects the values of equality, empathy, and academic rigor. Thank you for your attention, and I implore you to support our teachers and students with this curriculum approval.
Next, we have Cheyenne. No, no kind. Okay, no kind. Vanessa Wilcox. No. Okay. Then we're going to move to our final two for section 1. We've got Liz Wilcox and Melissa Durganic. And I think I really messed that up. So Melissa, you're going to have to correct me when you get up here. But next we have Liz. Okay, Liz Wilcox.
I'm Liz Wilcox. I am the mom of 3 Academy School District 20 graduates. I have been a paraprofessional in the district and thoroughly have enjoyed that, but I'm playing grandma for a year or 2 now. I'd like to first off say how much I also believe in what the first gentleman who was up here spoke about. I read through some of the comments myself, and the one that struck me probably more than any other was the review of conflicts that shaped a nation. One of the comments there was, sure has a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion. What's wrong with that? Not a thing. But they gave us some examples. 3.5 pages on slavery. Can you imagine taking a whole 3.5 pages to talk about slavery? Whew. Next, 6 pages about Indians. Well, who was here in our country before any of us in this room were here? 6 pages, though. What a travesty. But the final one that really got me, very little about the white majority of the colonists. Who do they think every textbook we've ever seen has been about if it does not mention race? It's about the white people. So I would also encourage all of you to take a real close look at the coaching that these reviewers had. It's obvious it's there. And take a look in your own hearts and your own minds. You know what's right.
Your time's up. Thank you.
Our final speaker for section 1 is Melissa. Melissa, tell us how to say your last name.
It's Durgantz.
Durgantz.
Close.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, board and community members. I'm here to talk about something related to the building fund. While you're thinking about proposed plans for Air Academy High and Douglas Elementary, I implore you to consider updating the main restroom facilities to non-gendered full stalls and shared hand washing station. This eliminates the need for gender assignment main restrooms and normalizes these spaces for all, especially our LGBTQIA community, who are just trying to exist in peace. This allows for all children to feel safe, supported, and takes us into the future. In locker rooms, we can also build full stalls for changing, showers, toilet facilities as well, which will protect our students. And this is a great segue into a related topic. Today is the first day in Black History Month. We need to make sure to celebrate Black history all month and every month for that matter. the good and the bad. Discussing or teaching Black history is not CRT. I know it's a political talking point for conservatives, but it's actually basic history, not meant to single out any particular race and make them feel bad about themselves. Sometimes history is uncomfortable, but it's purely history, basic history that needs to be included in everyday curriculum in D20, especially since we talk about getting back to the basics. Again, I reiterate to everyone, including the fanatical D20 Derek Wilburn supporter who tried to imply such at a previous board meeting, or was it D49? Either way, CRT is a college level curriculum and not being taught in our K through 12 schools. We see through the propaganda. One final point, I ask that District 20 stand up with the community and ask our representatives.
Time is up. Thank you.
That concludes our speakers for section 1. Should I just roll into 2? Okay. So again, we're going to go 3 at a time. So our first 3 speakers, Marin Hoffman, Tim Hoffman, and number 3 is Susie Bauer.
Hi, I'm Marin Hoffman. I'm a sophomore in high school. I go to school in a neighboring district, but I've watched my sister attend D20 and things have gotten a little bit weird. I've recently started looking at my next steps for my future, college choices, career paths, and so on. I've been filling out scholarship applications and they always want to know who I am. And how do I tell them that? I share who I am and what I've done. I'm an athlete. I lettered in track my freshman year. I also play volleyball and compete in indoor track through USATF. I've been a part of National Junior Honor Society and served as president. I'm a set female weightlifting records at my school. I'm engaged in my community, often speaking at things like school board meetings and other community events. I'm academically above par, striving to keep my grades as high as possible. I've traveled abroad to volunteer at my family's school in Ethiopia and often volunteer locally when I can. All of these things from the past paint a picture of who I am in the present. Colleges care about that. They would also care very much they would also care if my past included things like public obscenity, plagiarism, cyberbullying, or making jokes at the expense of a student's skin color. So I ask you this, if my past matters and affects my present and my future, why doesn't yours? Thank you.
Next is Tim Hoffman.
I'm Tim Hoffman. I'm a concerned parent. Tonight I want to talk about bullying. Raising 3 kids through multiple school districts, we've seen our share of bullying. We've been part of restorative conversations and other resolutions, some better than others. And one thing I know to be very true is this: a bully in school left unchecked grows up to be a bullying adult. In March of 2022, a person I had never heard of decided to launch a cyberbullying campaign against me and my family. That's my family right there. Say hi. I think bullies should always get the chance to see their marks. Over the course of a few weeks and months, this person leveraged their triggered hatred for me as content for their online presence. They attacked me repeatedly with disdain. They mocked my appearance. They scrubbed my social media looking for content and shared my posts via screenshots alongside their colorful and sophomoric commentary. This individual, who never met or spoken to me, chose to bring my family into this as well. They called out my minor children by name. They made false allegations and accusations about me, defaming my character and name. They educated me on internet technology and things like NS lookup, traceroute, ping, to create fear for my family's personal safety. They said, and I quote, "I don't like getting personal with people on social media or on my podcast. I don't think it's appropriate. I don't name names, doxing people, putting their name on the internet. That's not helping our country, but tonight I'm going to." End quote. Then they posted what they thought was my home address on the internet for their viewers to see. It was actually my ISP's address. They spelled my name out to make sure it was clear who they were trying to share their personal information of. In short, they showed who they really were: a classless, tactless, cowardly bully lacking in integrity or morals. So why am I concerned? I think it's clear, and you'd agree, that a schoolyard bully left unchecked grows into a cowardly, narcissistic, angry, vengeful adult bully that behaves the same way to those around them. The person who launched that attack against me and my family now sits on this board. And if you find that laxity of character to be as reprehensible as I do, I'd ask that you lean on your character and integrity and do what should have been done a while ago and encourage a voluntary resignation from this board for anybody lacking in the character becoming of a D20 board member. We have a portrait of a D20 graduate. We need a portrait of a D20 board member as well. Thank you.
Hi, half of this is mine and half of this is from a teacher, a 31-year career teacher from D20 that taught at EMS and Air Academy High. She's very proud of her students. They're doctors, nurses, scientists, think tank experts, marketing, computer scientists, veterinarians, therapists, bankers, plumbers, mechanics, pilots, military, government, Secret Service, diplomatic corps, and even a White House speechwriter. And there's many more. There are so accomplished because they had never had limits placed on them that they could read or what they should think or how they allowed to learn and what their futures would look like. Gender does not matter to educators. Sexuality does not matter to educators. Only the health and happiness and success of every student matters to educators. The quest to limit or direct access to books, education, thinking, learning opportunities, or activities by a parent over another parent's child is anti-ethical to freedom and liberty. Buzzwords and titles like parental freedom or moms of liberty do not make it any less so. And voters' mandates that you reject such pretense once for all, the sake of all students, their academic accomplishments, their career choices, and their futures. So let's find a common ground. We are all parents. We are all parents. So what we want to do is we want to take care of our kids. So remember when your kid was 10 and 11 years old, and remember the times that you had to send letters to support or your concerns to your teachers. That's what we are all doing. So let's sit down at the table, even if we don't agree together the same thing, and lead with love and take away your political agendas.
Our next three speakers, we will start with Catherine Gale, followed by Jennifer Bergstrom, and then Charlotte Johnson. So next we have Catherine.
Hello, I'm Catherine Gale, a D20 parent and a D20 mother. And I'm sorry to say I have to read this for a teacher who doesn't feel secure in her position to give her thoughts to this board. Last week, a vocal member of this community shared a graphic on a large social media page that I belong to. That graphic contained images of 28 college educators and staff members arrested for sex-related crimes involving a minor. The caption of this graphic read, "Don't tell us there isn't a coincidence. Districts with the most arrests in this list, ASD 20. Immediately, I noticed that the post claimed that ASD 20 topped this list for most arrests. I started reading the comments, one of which was from a D20 staff member who asked what the source was for this information. This simple question resulted in this D20 teacher being told she deserved the death penalty, amongst other horrific things. After doing a bit of my own research, I found that not one person on that graphic was in fact an ASD 20 staff member. This begs the question, why would a member of our own community and a proclaimed friend of yours falsely claim this district is full of predators? Let me use the words of your friends and supposed D20 advocates to share. The Republicans and conservative Christians have had it with the indoctrination in schools. Imagine what it is like to get up every day to teach students knowing this is how you all view us, as predators and indoctrinators. I make poverty wages to be abused by the people who are supposed to represent my best interests. If you can't pay us, the very least you can do is give us the respect we deserve. As a former teacher myself, I am appalled that we are making war against teachers. When I was a child, if I got in trouble at school, my parents were on the teacher.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Next is Jennifer Bergstrom.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Bergstrom, and I am both a middle school parent and a high school parent. At the last board meeting, we heard about Superintendent Haber's proposed middle school library review committee. I'm concerned that this proposed community, which will consist of about 20 self-described biased middle school parents, will be the ones who will ultimately decide if a book gets to remain on our middle school library shelves. Additionally, this committee will be choosing books to review based on a controversial, biased website that is promoted by Moms for Liberty. And oddly, mention of any middle school librarians is left completely out of this proposed committee. How is this considered balanced? District 20 already has an existing policy in place that addresses book reconsiderations. The last board study session addressed the existing tools that parents already have so that they can customize exactly what materials their child can and cannot access in the library. A solution to individual parental concerns already exists. 20 middle school parents are not trained in things such as Colorado State Academic Standards, American Academy School Library Standards, American Library Associate Standards, and the Library Bill of Rights, as well as more. Teacher librarians are. These are the professionals who know how to set aside their personal biases in order to select the appropriate materials as well as weed appropriate materials, thus ensuring that all student rights are maintained and that existing district policy is followed. Instead of solving any issues, the proposed library review committee appears to be a new way to let a few biased parents decide what is in the best interest of everyone else's children by banning books. I encourage you to not move this committee forward.
Our next speaker is Charlotte Johnson.
I'm a parent in D20 and I'm reading this for a D20 staff member. As a D20 staff member, I've been hearing a good deal about library book review committee being assembled to target books in our schools, and right now it seems like a disproportionate amount of energy is being devoted to this issue at the district level, even though a process for book challenge and review already exists. This indicates to me how out of touch this board and cabinet are with the real problems in our schools. I see parents struggling just to get their students out the door to school. That is a real problem. I see students using racist and threatening language towards peers without repercussions. That is a real problem. Teachers find it challenging to maximize class time due to habitual disruptions. Administrators feel their hands are tied when addressing persistent behavior issues. That's also a real problem. Many children lack the necessary support at home to reinforce appropriate school behavior. Once again, that's a real problem. We must support our dedicated staff in managing behavior to create more conducive learning environments for all students. While there are many successful students, these behavioral issues persist, as evident in recent events like the turmoil at WRES. The root causes include bureaucratic red tape, inadequate support from the top, and lack of clear district-wide response. True protection for our children and the protection of a safe learning environment come not from removing books or banning clubs, but by addressing these pressing issues. Regrettably, the current optics suggest that only a small vocal minority monopolizes district resources. It's high time we prioritize and address the real problems that impact our schools and our students daily. And from myself, I'm not a smooth-speaking political operative from outside the district who's buds with several board members, like several of the speakers were from last meeting. I'm a parent. I ask the board, who are you here for? Are you here for all children in the district? Or are you here for the special interest groups that you're so close with? How do the parents in this and kids in this district get your attention back from the culture wars and your political interests and get you to serve our?
Our next speaker is Ty Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Dr. Ty Johnson. I am a resident taxpayer here of Academy District 20. I raised 3 children who've come through this district. I'm very involved in community events through my patients. And I have a problem with the pattern that's been emerging at these board meetings. This seems to become a podium for vitriol and hate with no ideas. And I don't know about anyone else, but the first half of this meeting is absolutely fantastic. This part of the meeting absolutely sucks. because there's no ideas. I want to talk ideas. I want to talk about our kids. I want to talk about raising pay for our teachers. I want to talk about how we're using the resources of our tax money the best we possibly can. And this is all about vitriol. In fact, through the Freedom of Information Act, we know that there is someone who comes here every week and stands up here and attacks Aaron Salt and Derek Wilburn and the rest of the board. And he doesn't even live in this district, and he has no kids in this district. And that's why he never brings any ideas to what's happening. And I, for one, want to see this stopped. In fact, looking at the Freedom of Information Act, on January 19th, he wrote to the administration, and I quote, "I have 9 more board meetings between now and the middle of June. I am committed to using these 18 minutes of public comment to continue to highlight the character of the people who are in the position to represent our students and teachers and set the stages for their future." He concludes this by saying, signing it, "Unbelievably concerned parent," which is curious because, as previously mentioned, has no children in D20 schools. So I would like to see a rule change that if you don't have anything in this district, that this stops. Let's get focused back on the kids, back on the curriculum, back on how we're spending our money, and let's fill this room with concerned parents who will not show up because.
Our final speaker this evening is Bernadette Guthrie.
My name is Bernadette Guthrie. I'm the parent of 2 D20 students, a taxpayer, and attended D20 schools myself. I'll start with an idea. Derek Wilburn should resign. It's been nearly 4 months since my daughter was victimized by Derek Wilburn, 120 days since he took it upon himself to introduce her to the non-age appropriate topics of rape and incest against her will and mine. Albert Einstein said, "The world is a dangerous place, not because of those who do evil, but because of those who look on and do nothing." During that time, not one of you has acknowledged what she and other students experienced. Not one of you has condemned this behavior, and not one of you has asked if she's okay. To witness a child being harmed by an unsafe person and choosing silence makes you an unsafe person too. Today, I read a news article detailing a federal lawsuit stemming from an incident at Woodman Roberts Elementary. D20 seems to be gaining notoriety for protecting predators at the expense of innocent children. In fact, I received 2 inquiries from members of the media today wanting details about our story. To wrap this up, I'd like to leave you with another Eli Bremer quote. "Why do you support people reading porn and smut in public meetings? Are you a pervert who gets pleasure out of that? You know, I spent years fighting youth sexual assault, and I find it interesting that you are so infatuated with reading porn in public. Are you a pervert?" Thank you.
That concludes public comments for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Cortez. Superintendent Haber, do you have any clarifications or next steps?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Was our business this evening focused on activities that promote and honor our mission statement, our belief statements, and our global end statement that reminds us that all students will have the knowledge, skills, and character necessary for successful transition to the next level, and upon graduation will be fully prepared for success? Did the board hear any information tonight that would require the review or revision of any policy? Did the board hear information tonight that would require a new policy? Did the board hear information tonight that the board would like to include on a future agenda? All right. We need a motion that the Board of Education convene an executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 24-6-4024B to confer with an attorney for the board for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions related to potential and pending litigation matters. While in executive session, the board will not adopt any proposed policy, resolution, regulation, or take any formal action. Lastly, the Colorado Open Meetings Law does not require the board to make record of the executive session in which the attorney is present and providing legal advice. CRS 24-6-402 2D.5 2B.
Moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cons?
Aye.
Mrs. Shandy?
Aye.
Mr. Wilburn?
Aye.
Mrs. Yanez?
Aye.
Mr. Salt?
Aye. The executive session will be held in Superintendent's office, and invited to this executive session are Ms. Haber, who will be joining virtually, Ms. Cons, Mr. Salt, Ms. Shandy, Colonel Stallworth, Ms. Thompson, Mr. Wilburn, and Ms. Yanez. The regular portion of the meeting is over. We will take a quick break to clear the room and move to the superintendent's office. Thank you. Oh,
Could you please add Mr. Cameron Smart to that invite, please?
absolutely. Mr. Smart is invited. Thank you.